What really happened inside the Charleston church shooting investigation, and what does the actual evidence say? Tonight, we're putting the headlines aside and opening the federal case file itself. We'll read through the 33-count indictment, the FBI reports, the Attorney General's statements, the civil settlement over the failed background check, Dylan Roof's own manifesto, his guilty plea, and his full 2-hour FBI confession. No movie versions, no edited documentaries, just the documents, the interviews, and the public record. Some of what we're going to cover tonight rarely gets discussed in detail, and by the end of the stream, you'll have seen the evidence for yourself. Before we begin, I want to say that tonight is first and foremost about the 9 innocent people who lost their life during a Bible study at Mother Emanuel AME Church on June 17th, 2015. Nothing we're covering tonight is intended to glorify the perpetrator. The purpose of this stream is to examine the public record, understand how this case unfolded, and separate confirmed facts from assumptions. As always, if I speculate about anything, I'll tell you it's speculation. If I state something as fact, it's because it's supported by documents we're looking at together. Here's what we've got tonight. We'll read through the federal indictment that led to 33 criminal counts, the Justice Department's announcements, the FBI investigative material that had been released publicly, the Attorney General's statement following the indictment, the civil settlement involving the FBI background check failure, Dylan Roof's manifesto as it has been publicly reported, his guilty plea, and finally, the complete FBI interview where he explains his actions in his own words. If you've never gone through the primary source material on this case, you're about to. Settle in, and let's start with the document that set the entire federal prosecution in motion, the indictment. Let me bring it up on screen share for you, and we will go through it together. Okay.
Indictment. The grand jury charges. 1. Defendant Dylan Storm Roof is a white male who, on June 17, 2015, was 21 years old. 2. In April 2015, defendant Dylan Storm Roof purchased a Glock Model 41 caliber pistol. 3. In the months before June 17, 2015, defendant Dylan Storm Roof decided to attack African Americans because of their race. He further decided to attack African American worshipers in an African American church, in order to make his attack more notorious. 4. Prior to June 17, 2015, defendant Dylan Storm Roof obtained and used the website lasterhodesian.com. He placed on that website a manuscript and photographs expressing his racist beliefs. In the manuscript, Dylan Storm Roof uses racial slurs to describe African Americans, expresses his belief that white people are superior to African Americans, and decries integration. The photographs on lasterhodesian.com include Dylan Storm Roof wearing a jacket with flags of 2 former apartheid African nations, displaying his Glock caliber pistol and holding a Confederate flag. 5. On the evening of June 17, 2015, defendant Dylan Storm Roof drove to the Emanuel African Methodist Episcopal AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina, commonly referred to as Mother Emanuel, to attack African American parishioners engaged in religious activities. He selected Emanuel AME Church because it had a predominantly African American membership, and because it was significant to the people of Charleston, of South Carolina, and of the nation. 6. By attacking African American parishioners, defendant Dylan Storm Roof wanted to increase racial tensions across the nation and sought retribution for perceived wrongs he believed committed against white people African Americans had. 7. On the evening of June 17, 2015, African American parishioners at Emanuel AME Church were participating in a religious worship and Bible study group led by Reverend Clementa Pinckney, a 41-year-old African American man, and attended by Reverend Sharonda Coleman Singleton, a 45-year-old African American woman, Cynthia Hurd African American woman, Susie, a 54-year-old Jackson, an 87-year-old African American woman, Ethel Lee Lance, a 70-year-old African American woman, KM, an 11-year-old African American girl, Reverend Payne Middleton Doctor, a 49-year-old African American woman, Felicia Sanders, a 58-year-old African American woman, Tywanza Sanders, a 26-year-old African American man, Reverend Daniel Simmons Senior, a 74-year-old African American man, Polly Shepard, a 70-year-old old African-American woman, and Myra Thompson, a 59-year-old African-American woman. 8. On the evening of June 17, 2015, defendant Dylan Stormroof entered Emanuel AME Church with his Glock Model 41 caliber pistol and 8 magazines loaded with hollow point bullets, with the intent of killing African 215 CR 00472 Americans engaged in the exercise of their religious beliefs. 9. The parishioners welcomed defendant Dylan Stormroof into their Bible study group, and Roof sat next to Reverend Clementa Pinckney. 10. While the parishioners were engaged in religious worship and Bible study, defendant Dylan Stormroof drew his pistol and opened fire on the parishioners, killing Reverend Sharonda Coleman, Singleton, Cynthia Hurd, Susie Tywanza Sanders, Jackson, Ethel Lee Lance, Reverend DePayne Middleton Doctor, Reverend Clementa Pinckney, Reverend Daniel Simmons Sr., and attempting to kill KM Felicia Shepard. Myra Thompson. 9. Hate crime act resulting in death. The grand jury further charges. 11. The allegations set forth in paragraphs 1 through 10 are repeated and realleged as if set forth fully herein. On or about June 17, 2015, in the District of South Carolina, defendant Dylan Stormroof willfully caused bodily injury to the below-listed victims because of their actual and perceived race and color. The offenses resulted in the death of each of the victims in counts 1 to 9, all in violation of Title 18, United States Code, Section 249, A1, counts 10 to 12. The grand jury further charges. 13. The allegations set forth in paragraphs 1 through 10 are repeated and realleged as if set forth fully herein. 14. On or about June 17, 2015, in the District of South Carolina, defendant Dylan Stormroof, through the use of a firearm, a Glock Model 41 caliber pistol, attempted to cause bodily injury to the below-listed victims because of their actual and perceived race and color. The offenses included an attempt to kill each of the victims in counts 10 to 12, all in violation of Title 18, United States Code, Section 249, 1. Obstruction of exercise of religion resulting in death. The grand jury further charges. 15. The allegations set forth in paragraphs 1 through 10 are repeated and realleged as if set forth fully herein. 16. On or about June 17, 2015, in the District of South Carolina, defendant Dylan Stormroof intentionally obstructed by force each victim listed below in the enjoyment of that victim's free exercise of religious beliefs. The acts of defendant Dylan Stormroof resulted in the death of each victim listed in counts 13 to 21 and were in and affected interstate commerce, all in violation of Title Sections 247, A, 224, obstruction of exercise of religion and use of a dangerous weapon. The grand jury further charges. 17. The allegations set forth in paragraphs 1 through 10 are repeated and realleged. Defendant Dylan Stormroof intentionally obstructed by force and threat of force each victim listed below in the enjoyment of that victim's free exercise of religious beliefs, and attempted to do so. The acts of defendant Dylan Stormroof included an attempt to kill each of the victims in counts 22 to 24, involved the use of a dangerous weapon, a Glock Model 41 caliber pistol, and were in and commerce, affected interstate, all in violation of Title 18, United States D1, and in relation to a crime of violence. The grand jury further charges. 19. The allegations set forth in paragraphs 1 through 10 are repeated and realleged as if set forth fully herein. 20. On or about June 17, 2015, in the District of South Carolina, defendant Dylan Stormroof knowingly used and discharged a firearm, Glock Model 41 caliber pistol, during and in relation to a crime of violence for which he may be prosecuted in a court of the United States violations of 18 U.S.C. Section 249, as charged in counts 1 to 9, as charged in counts 21, and caused the death of each victim listed below through the use of the firearm, and caused the death in 18 U.S.C. Section 1011 Lovely, in that the defendant, with malice aforethought, kill each victim with the firearm. Notice of special findings pursuant to Title 18, Notice of special findings pursuant to Title 18, U91, and 3592, and the allegations set forth in paragraphs 1 through 20, as to counts 13 to 21 and 25 to 30 fence, be intentionally killed Reverend Sharonda Coleman Singleton, Cynthia Hurd, Susie Jackson, Ethel Lee Lance, Reverend Payne Doctor, Reverend Clementa Middleton Pinckney, Tywanza Sanders, Reverend Daniel Simmons, Thompson, 18 U.S.C. Section 3591, A2, A Senior, and Myra, C. Intentionally inflicted serious bodily injury that resulted in the deaths of Reverend Sharonda Coleman Singleton, Cynthia Hurd, Susie Jackson, Ethel Lee Lance, Reverend DePayne Middleton Doctor, Reverend Clementa Pinckney, Tywanza Reverend Daniel Simmons, CNR, and Myra Sanders, Thompson, 18 U.S.C. Section 3591, A2, B, D. Intentionally participated in an act, contemplating that the life of a person would be taken, and intending that lethal force would be used in connection with a person other than one of the participants in the offense, and Reverend Coleman Singleton, Cynthia Hurd, Susie Sharonda Jackson, Ethel Lee Lance, Reverend DePayne Middleton, Doctor, Reverend Clementa Pinckney, Tywanza Sanders, Reverend Daniel Simmons Sr., and Myra Thompson died as a direct result of such act, 18 U.S.C. Section 3591, and specifically engaged in an act of violence, knowing that the act created a grave risk of death to a person, other than one of the participants in the offense, such that a reckless participation in the act constituted disregard for human life, and Reverend Sharonda Coleman Singleton, Cynthia Hurd, Susie Jackson, Ethel Lee Lance, Reverend DePayne Middleton Doctor, Reverend Clementa Pinckney, Tywanza Sr., and Myra Sanders, Reverend Daniel Simmons, Thompson died as a direct result of the Act 18 U.S.C. Section 3591, A, 2, D, and F, committed the offenses charged in counts 13 to 21, 25 to 33, after substantial planning and premeditation, to cause the death of a person 18, USC Section 3592, C9G, C9G, count 16 and 28, for killing Ethel Lee Lance, for killing Reverend Daniel Simmons 7, for killing Reverend Daniel Simmons Sr., who was 7592, H, 18 USC, H, in committing the offenses in counts 13 to 21, intentionally killed, William N. Nettles.
In committing the offenses in counts 13, 21, and 25, 33, intentionally killed and attempted to kill more than one person in a single criminal episode. And then it's signed, certificate of the Attorney General. I, Loretta E. Lynch, hereby certify that in my judgment, prosecution by the United States of Dylan Roof for violating Title 18 United States Code is in the public interest and is necessary to secure a substantial justice, and state lacks jurisdiction to bring a hate crime to prosecution. The certification is made pursuant to Title 18 United States Code 249. And this is the same but different codes. Record of grand jury ballot, the United States of America versus Dylan Storm Roof. That was the full indictment. I think what we should hop into next is the FBI document, which I'd like to point out. When looking for the vault for the documents on this case, I was expecting way more files or documents. Don't get me wrong. On Pacer, there is definitely hundreds of filings, but they're exactly that, just legal filings. There's not a whole lot of information unless you sift through all of them to read through all of them, and there's over, I think I've seen 500 different legal filings back and forth. I mean, the trial went on and the case didn't fully close until I want to say 2017. So it's like 2 to 3 years worth of just back and forth filings. But this is the singular only FBI court document PDF that they have, and it's 54 pages. As you can see here, it already tells you what pages have been removed, and why, with the code next to it. Inspectors report a review of the CJIS Division's National Instant Criminal Background Check System, NICS, in Clarksburg, West Virginia. Table of contents, executive summary, scope and methodology. Methodology. Yeah. The roof case, findings, conclusion, appendices. A, federal prohibitors. B, I don't know what all of that means, but yes. This is the executive summary.
Executive summary. U, FUO. Background: at the request of the director, INSD conducted a special review of the Criminal Justice Information Services, CJIS, Division's National Instant Criminal Background Check System, NICS, section in relation to the purchase of a handgun by Dylan Roof. The subject in the June 17, 2015, Emanuel African Methodist Episcopal, AME, church shooting in Charleston, SC. This review commenced on July 14, 2015. ENSD traveled to CHS on July 20, 2015 and conducted leadership and staff interviews, reviewed standard operating procedures, SOPs, and assessed the NICS computerized database system. U, FOBO. Scope and objectives. INSD's special review focused on NICS protocols and procedures to assess 1. The availability and timeliness of actionable intelligence. 2. Coordination and information sharing between CJIs and law enforcement agencies. And 3. CHIS Division's oversight and program management preceding the 06/17/2015 church shooting incident. ENSD identified issues and recommendations which are detailed herein. U, FUO. Overview of NICS. NICS is a DOJ program designed to keep firearms from criminals, the mentally ill, illegal aliens, and people who have renounced their U.S. citizenship or violate a number of state-specific prohibitors. NICS is utilized to determine qualification for receiving or possessing firearms according to federal guidelines. The next process includes searching, at a minimum, 3 federally maintained databases. If applicant identifiers match any entries in the federally maintained databases, a designated set of databases. The external manual and automated databases are cross-referenced for resolution. PU. NICS section structure. JUL time examiners range in grade from GS6 to GS9. Examiners are assigned to the NICS section within the CJIS division at Clarksburg, West Virginia. The examiners are divided into various NIC's program roles, to include the Research and Analysis Team, Appeal Services and Explosives Command Center, Regional Coordinators, and NICS Index Team. Additionally, NICS manages 3 regional contract call centers, which employ approximately customer service representatives, CSSR, UFOLD. NICS process. A NICS background check inquiry can follow several paths from inquiry to resolution. To initiate a firearms background check, an applicant must show the Federal Firearms Licensee, FFL, an approved form of photo identification, and provide name, sex, race, date of birth, and the state of residence as required on ATP Form 4473. A NICS transaction number, NTN, is provided to the FFL on ATF Form 473. NICS requested applicants submit additional descriptors to assist in discerning between similar records, because NICS utilized a descriptive-based search. The NICS response to an inquiry consisted of a notice to the FFI stating the transfer of the firearm may proceed, is denied, or was delayed pending further review. FFLs were permitted to legally transfer weapons when the NICS response is proxed or if exceeding 3 business days from a delayed inquiry. The criterion for denying a transfer was based on 10 federal prohibitors, as well as additional state-specific prohibitors, UT Quo. NICS section business process. NICS operates from 8A MEST to IMEST, 7 days a week, every day with the exception of Christmas. Inquiry is processed by either CJA's NICS or a designated state point of contact, which involves state employees querying NICS and conducting the necessary follow-up. 36. Roof case. On Saturday, April 11, 2015. Roof attempted to purchase a caliber Glock handgun at a gun store in West Columbia, South Carolina. Roof's information was checked in the National Instant Crime Background Check System. It's as required by law and delayed due to potential prohibitors. On the next business day, Monday, April 13, 2015, an examiner at the CJIS facility in West Virginia began to process the inquiry. The initial check of Roof's criminal history indicated he was arrested for a felony drug charge. This charge was not enough to deny proceeding with the transaction and required further inquiry. The examiner reviewed Roof's criminal history and determined the arresting agency listed on Roof's criminal record was the Lexington County Sheriff's Office. UTOTO, the examiner, determined a case disposition was not listed. Then laxed a request to the Lexington County Sheriff's Office, LCSO, requesting more details on the case. Next, the examiner faxed a similar request to the Lexington County Prosecutor's Office. The LCSO contacted the examiner and advised the case did not belong to them, and the examiner should check with the Columbia Police Department, CPD. The examiner did not locate a listing for the CPD in Lexington County, but did locate a listing for the West Columbia Police Department, WCPD. The examiner contacted the WCPD and was advised there was no record of an arrest of Roof court records revealed no convictions. Contacted agencies provided either no definitive clarifying information or did not respond. While the Roof inquiry remained in delayed status, the examiner processed other inquiries. U//FU. On Thursday, April 16, 2015, the 4th business day from the initial inquiry request, the Brady transaction date, the gun dealer exercised his lawful discretion and transferred the gun to Roof. On June 17, 2015, Roof shot and killed 9 people attending church services in Charleston, South Carolina. Summary findings, U//FUO. The Roof transaction represented one of many paths an FFL inquiry could follow through the complex NICS process. The INSD review identified both areas of exemplary performance and improvement opportunities. Recommendations and identified mitigation opportunities are detailed herein, U//FOBO. Positive outcomes. The examiner on the Roof matter performed as required and in accordance with current policy and procedures. NICS Section M worked proactively to predict and resolve resource and workflow challenges with available in-house resources. NICS worked collaboratively as a section and in an all-hands-on-deck manner to meet a background check demand which doubled over the past 10 years. NICS recognized the importance of strong SOPs and devised standardized training for all new examiners. NICS staff articulated dedication and pride in the mission, in spite of heavy workloads and challenges with the receipt of timely information from law enforcement agencies. Folio issues. The lack of timely responses and/or incomplete records were primarily responsible for delayed inquiries. Record holders are not required to respond to NICS inquiries. Examiners were forced to rely on outdated and inefficient means of communication with various state and local agencies, which inhibited effective resolution. While demand doubled over the last 10 years, resources remained essentially the same within the NICS section. Consequently, proactive outreach efforts with agencies and FFLS suffered as resources were pulled to address the increasing number of NICS inquiries. To meet statutory requirements, CIS management amended SOPs and curtailed resolution efforts to focus on initial reviews within the Brady transaction period. NICS was not required, and therefore did not ensure requests for information to outside agencies were received or reviewed by the recipient agency. NICS was not required to proactively review current or new information resources to increase overall effectiveness in conducting firearm background checks. Limited resources and SOPs limited the ability of examiners to pursue additional datasets. For instance, A query of index, which was reviewed and subsequently not included as a NICS dataset, would have revealed the prohibiting roof incident report. Quality assurance processes were burdensome and reduced manpower available for inquiry resolution. During surge periods, quality assurance was limited to full-time examiners, and the surged workforce was not reviewed. Emphasis on inquiry quotas, linking performance to the number of processed inquiries, and regularly redirecting employees from other units to work the high volume of incoming inquiries shifted focus away from resolution and negatively impacted morale. Examinations are complicated by statutory requirements, including short data purge windows, and increased examiner requirements to complete reviews in order to verify prohibitors. NICS demonstrated the ability to predict surge requirements, however employee schedules were maintained which did not maximize effectiveness. Second scope and methodology. U//FQO. On July 20, 2015, a 6-member INSD team including an inspector in charge, 2 inspection team leaders, 2 assistant inspectors in place, and a support operations specialist deployed to the FBI CGI's facility in Clarksburg, West Virginia, to conduct the review. The team conducted interviews with management and legal instrument examiner teams in the NICS section. INSD's review focused on 3 areas. 1. The availability, sharing, and timeliness of actionable intelligence. 2. Coordination among CJS units and law enforcement. And 3. CJS Division's oversight and program management preceding the June 17, 2015 shooting incident at the Emanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina, Ohio. INSD conducted a total of interviews. All of the interviews involved personnel assigned to the NICS section as denoted below. Table 1. FOHO. INSD reviewed NICS section communications consisting of faxes, reports, standard operating procedures, NICS internal documents, and a NICS SharePoint site. INSD did not review or interview personnel from external agencies. Photo. Overview of NICS. NICS is a DOJ program designed to keep firearms from criminals, the mentally ill, illegal aliens, and people who have renounced their U.S. citizenship or violate a number of state-specific prohibitors. NICS is utilized to determine qualification for receiving or possessing firearms according to federal guidelines. The NICS process includes searching, at a minimum, 3 federally maintained databases: the National Crime Information Center, NCIC, the Interstate Identification Index, 3, and the NICS Index, FDUO. NICS section structure: full-time examiners range in grade from GS6 to GS9. Examiners are assigned to the NICS section within the CJIS division at Clarksburg, West Virginia. The examiners are divided into various NICS program roles, to include the Research and Analysis Team, Appeal Services and Explosives, Command Center, Regional Coordinators, and NICS Index Team. The Research and Analysis Team processes checks on prospective gun buyers. The Research and Analysis Team employs a staffing level of NICS section employees. The Appeal Services and Explosives Team processes customer appeals for delayed and denied firearm background checks, to include issuing explosive permits. The Appeal Services and Explosives Team employs a staffing level of NICS section employees. The Command Center serves as the central location for all NICS functions, focused on monitoring examiner activity levels, as well as the automated call distribution. The Command Center has a staffing level of NICS section employees. The Regional Coordinators assist examiners with inquiry dispositions when requested. The Regional Coordinators employ a staffing level of NICS section employees. Or, the NICS Index Team manages the new record verification process, composed of but not limited to records received from the Appeal Services and Explosives Team, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE submissions, and external agency submissions. The NICS Index Team employs a staffing level of NICS section employees, UPU. Additionally, the NICS section manages 3 regional contract call centers in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, Wheeling, West Virginia, and Barberville, Kentucky. These call centers employ approximately customer service representatives, CSSR, who triage initial telephone NICS inquiries. An organizational chart is referenced in the roof case binder, Appendix K, Section 2, U//FUO. NICS process. The NICS process can follow several paths from inquiry.
We're obviously not going to go through all of that because it's not really a part of the case. We will scroll through this a little bit, see if there's anything super interesting in here. If not, we definitely have plenty of other stuff to go through.
On Saturday, April 11th, 2015, Roof went to Shooter's Choice, a gun store located at 944 Sunset Boulevard, West Columbia, South Carolina, to purchase a caliber Glock handgun. Roof filled out ATF Form 4473 for the FFL. Question 11E on the form was, are you an unlawful user of or addicted to marijuana or any depressant, stimulant, narcotic drug, or any other controlled substance? Roof checked no on the form. If Roof responded affirmatively, the FFL would have terminated the sale and would not have contacted NICS. At 3:58 p.m., the FFL contacted NICS as required by law, and the telephone call was routed to the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas call center. The CSSR entered information from Roof's ATF Form 4473 into the NICS automated system, which reviewed the 3 federally maintained databases. A potentially matching identifier was located, and at 3:58 p.m., the CSSR transferred the FFL to the NICS section in Clarksburg, West Virginia, for additional processing. The telephone call was received by the examiner in Clarksburg at 4:01 p.m., photo. The examiner received the transfer from and tried. To make a quick determination to proceed, deny, or delay the transaction, NCIC and 2 records are incorporated in Appendix D. The examiner identified in 3 record containing a potential prohibitor, however, the same 2 record lacked a final disposition. At 4:04 p.m., the examiner advised the FFL the transaction was delayed, and the FFL marked a delayed response in box 21 degrees Celsius of the 4473 and noted on the form the firearm could be transferred on April 16, 2015. Due Q for Roof's inquiry, and also due to the pending backlog of inquiries, the examiner set the transaction in the Region 2 delay queue for further review by the team responsible for states including South Carolina. U-Foot on Monday, April 13, 2015, business day 1, at 1:49 p.m., a second examiner pulled the transaction from the Region 2 delay queue and identified and 2 hit for a felony drug arrest. The record indicated the arrest date was March 1, 2015, and the arresting agency was identified as the Lexington County Sheriff's Office, LCSO, Originating Agency Identifier, ORI number, SC032000. Roof was charged with MPD, SHIB, CLSD, and CHSH, COCINE3, sub. After reviewing the record, the examiner identified 2 potential federal prohibitors. Based on the record revealing a felony arrest, 922 G. 1. Persons who have been convicted in any court of a crime punishable by imprisonment for term exceeding 1 year could have applied. Further, because the arrest was for drug violations. 922 G. 3. Persons who are unlawful users or addicted to any controlled substance may also have applied. UPOCO. The examiner checked the nor its corresponding ORI, rather it noted the LCSO was the arresting agency 3. The LCSO was not involved in the arrest, but did process Roof at the Lexington County Jail, U/FUO. The examiner generated a final disposition report, Form R84, which included the pending charges, and faxed it to the LCSO at 1:58 p.m. in an effort to obtain clarifying information, Appendix E. The examiner listed information NICS required on the 84 RANs, including an incident report, whether the drugs were field tested, and if Roof admitted to using drugs. At 2 p.m., the examiner faxed a similar request to the Lexington County Solicitor's Office. That same day at 4:05 p.m., the LCSO faxed the R84 back to the NICS section bearing a handwritten note on the R84 stating, "No arrest or report for this date. The last arrest was on February 28, 2015. Columbia PD will have the report." The note did not contain a telephone number or other identifiers for the CPD. The examiner reviewed the NICS section POC list for Region 2. The NICS section POC list was sorted by county, and the examiner was unable to locate a listing for the CPD in Lexington County, but found a listing for the West Columbia Police Department, WCPD.
It seems like a lot of this is about what I'm getting from it is like it's like how the background system check didn't prevent him from getting a weapon because clearly he did the shooting anyways. So we are going to back out of here, but I'll go through after we're done here and I'll upload all of these to the description so I can, give you the sources and stuff. We went through those. We'll go to we'll save the death penalty for last. This is kind of long, so we're not going to go through all of it. But it is United States Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit. United States of America plaintiff appellee versus Dylan Stormroof, defendant appellant. I don't know. Autistic Self-Advocacy Network, Autistic Women and Non-Binary Network, Amici, I don't know how to say that.
Amici supporting appellee. Appeal from the United States District Court for the District of South Carolina at Charleston. Richard Mark Gergel, District Judge. 215 CR 00472 RMG 1. Argued May 25, 2021. Decided August 25, 2021. Before Dwayne Benton, Circuit Judge of the United States Court of Appeals for the 8th Circuit. Sitting by designation, Kenta Jordan, Circuit Judge of the United States Court of Appeals for the 3rd Circuit. Argued Sapna Mercandani, Greenbelt, Maryland, Margaret Alice-Ann Farrand, Office of the Federal Public Defender, Los Angeles, California, Alexandra Wallace Yates, Concord, Massachusetts, for appellant. Anne O'Connell Adams, Bonnie I Robin Verger, United States Department of Justice, Washington, D.C., for appellee. On brief, Amy M. Carlin, Interim Federal Public Defender, Los Angeles, California, James Wida, Federal Public Defender, Office of the Federal Public Defender, Baltimore, Maryland, for appellant. Brian C. Rabbit, Acting Assistant Attorney General, Robert A. Zink, Acting Principal Deputy Assistant Attorney General, Criminal Division, Eric S. Dryband, Assistant Attorney General Alexander V. Maugeri, Deputy Assistant Attorney General Thomas E. Chandler, Brant S. Levine, Appellate Section, Civil Rights Division, United States. Dylan Stormroof shot and killed 9 members of the historic Emanuel African Mother Emanuel in Charleston, South Carolina, during a meeting of a Wednesday night Bible study group. A jury convicted him on 9 counts of racially motivated hate crimes resulting in death, 3 counts of obstructing religion resulting in death, 3 counts of obstructing religion involving an attempt to kill and use of a dangerous weapon, and 9 counts of use of a firearm to commit murder during and in relation to a crime of violence. The jury unanimously recommended a death sentence on the religious obstruction and firearm counts, and he was sentenced accordingly. He now appeals the convictions and sentence. Having jurisdiction under 28 U.S.C., Section 1291 and 18 U.S.C., Section 3595, A, we will affirm. 2. Second background. A, the crime. On June 17, 2015, 12 parishioners and church leaders of Mother Emanuel all African Americans gathered in the fellowship hall for their weekly Bible study. Around 8:16 p.m., Roof entered the fellowship hall carrying a small bag that concealed a Glock, semi-automatic handgun, and 8 magazines loaded with 11 bullets each. The parishioners welcomed Roof, handing him a Bible and a study sheet. For the next 45 minutes, Roof worshipped with the parishioners. They stood and shut their eyes for closing prayer. Roof then took out his gun and started shooting. Parishioners dove under tables to hide. Roof continued shooting, reloading multiple times. After firing approximately 74 rounds, Roof reached one parishioner who was praying aloud. He told her to shut up and then asked if he had shot her yet. Yeah, 5017, she said no. Roof responded, I'm going to leave you here to tell the story. Ja at 5017. Roof left the church around 9:06 p.m. When police arrived. 7 of the 12 parishioners were dead. 2 others died soon after. Roof killed Reverend Sharonda Coleman Singleton, Cynthia Hurd, Susie Jackson, Ethel Lee Lance, Reverend DePayne Middleton Doctor, Reverend Clementa Pinckney, Tywanza Sanders, Reverend Daniel Simmons Sr., and Reverend Myra Thompson. B. Arrest, confession, and evidence collection. Police began searching for Roof, publicizing photos and setting up a phone bank. Acting on a tip the next morning, officers in Shelby, North Carolina stopped Roof's car. Roof complied with their directions, identified himself, admitted involvement in the shooting, and said that there was a gun in his back seat. Officers took Roof to the Shelby police station where he agreed to speak with FBI agents. After obtaining a written Miranda waiver, 2 FBI agents interviewed Roof for about 2 hours. He confessed, well, I killed him. Ja at 4265. He also laughingly stated, I am guilty. He also laughingly stated, he explained that he shot the parishioners with a Glock 2 months earlier, calling himself a white nationalist. He told agents that he had to do it because black people are killing white people every day, and rap white women. Ja at 4282. The agents asked whether he was trying to start a revolution. The agents asked whether he was trying to start a race war or anything like that. Later in the interview, however, he agreed that he was trying to because tea causes friction, and then, it could lean that he targeted Charleston for his attack. And after researching African American churches in Charleston on the internet, he chose to attack parishioners at Mother Emanuel because of the church's historic significance. At one point in the interview, he said, I regret doing it a little bit because I didn't really know what I had, exactly what I've done. Yay at 4302-03. But his meticulous planning for the murder spree contradicts that statement. During his pre-attack planning, in addition to researching Mother Emanuel on the internet, Roof visited Mother Emanuel and learned from a parishioner that a Bible study group met on Wednesday nights. He also used the internet to propagate his racist ideology. In a journal that the police found in Roof's home, Roof had written the name of a website he had created. The website was hosted by a foreign internet server, to which Roof made monthly payments. Hours before the shootings, Roof uploaded racist material to the website. The website included hyperlinks to text and photos. The text linked to a document where Roof expressed his virulent racist ideology, claimed white superiority, and called African Americans stupid and violent. Ja at 4623-27. He discussed black on white crime, claiming it was a crisis the media ignored. He issued a call to action, explaining that it was not too late to take America back and, by no means should we wait any longer to take drastic action. Ja at 4625. He stated that nobody was doing anything but talking on the internet, that someone has to have the bravery to take it to the real world, and I guess that has to be me. Ya at 4627. See indictment and trial. The day after the shootings, the state of South Carolina charged Roof with 9 counts of murder, 3 counts of attempted murder, and 1 weapon possession count. About a month later, Roof was indicted in the United States District Court for the District of South Carolina with the crimes at issue in this case, counts 1 through 9, racially motivated hate crimes resulting in death, in violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 249A1, racially motivated hate crimes involving an attempt to kill, in violation of 18 U.S.C. A1 counts 13 through 21, obstructing religious exercise resulting in death, obstructing. Both the state and the federal governments gave notice of their intention of 18 U.S.C. Both the district court appointed an attorney with extensive counsel for Roof. Before trial, Roof moved to dismiss the indictment on several grounds. He argued that the religious obstruction statute 18 U.S.C. section 247 A2 exceeds Congress's Commerce Clause authority, and that the hate crime statute 18 U.S.C. section 249 A1 exceeds Congress's 13th Amendment power. He also argued that neither is a predicate crime of violence under the federal firearm statute 18 U.S.C. section 924 C, and that the certified Roof's prosecution under 18 U.S.C. Section 249, and rejected Roof's alternative argument that the religious obstruction charges were improper because he did not act in interstate commerce. Roof offered to plead guilty in exchange for a sentence of life without parole. The federal government declined. The court entered a not guilty plea on Roof's behalf and set trial for November 7, 2016. As trial approached, the court ruled on a number of issues and lasted until December 15, 2016, and lasted until December 15, 2016. 1. His competency to stand trial and issues relating to his competency hearings. 2. His self-representation. 3. Alleged errors in the penalty phase of the trial. And 4. Alleged errors in the guilt phase of the trial, including whether the charging statutes are unconstitutional. We must address all substantive and procedural issues raised on the appeal of a sentence of death, and shall consider whether the sentence of death was imposed under the influence of passion, prejudice, or any other arbitrary factor, and whether the evidence supports the special finding of the existence of an aggravating factor required to be considered under Section 3592, under Section 3595C1. Third, issues related to competency to stand trial. Specifically, Roof argues, first, that the district court erred in finding him competent to stand trial. Second, that the district court abused to advise Mr. Roof to enter a plea of guilty. And for that reason, we understand that the court will enter a plea on his behalf. The court, I'll just direct that a plea of not guilty be entered at this time for the defendant, based on your comment to the court. Its discretion by refusing to grant a continuance ahead of the first competency hearing. And third, that the district court abused its discretion by limiting evidence allowed at the second competency hearing. We disagree and discern no merit in Roof's contentions. A. Competency background. Before trial, defense counsel gave notice of their intent to call an expert on Roof's mental health at the penalty phase. The government then obtained permission to have its own expert, Dr. Park Dietz, examine Roof. During a visit with Dr. Dietz, Roof learned for the first time that his lawyers intended to call an autism expert to say that Roof was on the autism spectrum. The news upset him. He underwent a substantial mood change and became oppositional. Ja at 538-544. Soon after, he sent a letter to the prosecution accusing his attorneys of misconduct. He said, "What my lawyers are planning to say in my defense is a lie and will be said without my consent or permission." Ja at 587. He believed that his lawyers were extremely moralistic about the death penalty and that they have been forced to grasp at straws because no real defense, or at least no defense that my lawyers would present or that would be acceptable to the court. Ja at 589. Learning of the letter shortly before trial, defense counsel requested an ex parte hearing. The next day, defense counsel requested a competency hearing. On the 7th of November, before ruling on competency, the court held the requested hearing and questioned Roof about the letter. Roof explained that he was unwilling to allow mental health mitigation evidence because if the price is that people think I'm autistic, then it's not worth it, and T discredits the reason why I did the crime. JA at 629, 632, defense counsel stated that they had considered Roof's perspective but determined in their professional judgment that presenting the evidence was in Roof's best interest. 1. First competency hearing. Following the ex parte hearing, the court delayed the first day of individual voir dire and ordered a competency hearing. To conduct a competency evaluation, it appointed Dr. James C. Ballinger, one of the nation's most renowned and respected psychiatrists, and the chair of the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences at the Medical University of South Carolina for 17 years, JA, at 2068. Although Dr. Ballinger had extensive experience as a psychiatrist, this was his first pre-trial competency examination. Dr. Ballinger submitted his report on the 15th of November. Defense counsel asked that the court postpone the competency hearing, scheduled for the 17th of November, until the 28th of November for three primary reasons. 1. Defense counsel was utterly unprepared to engage on such short notice the factual, ethical, legal, and forensic science issues raised by 92 pages of psychiatric and psychological reports. 2. Roof disagreed with defense counsel's mental health mitigation defense, which led to a breakdown in the attorney-client relationship, especially on competency issues. And 3. The mental health experts lacked sufficient time to reliably evaluate Roof's competency. JA at 773. They also argued that Dr. Ballinger's report failed to address a central issue: autism spectrum disorder, ASD. Defense's autism expert, Dr. Rachel Lofton, was out of the country until the 28th of November and could not finalize her report in time. To provide adequate time for the defense to prepare, the court rescheduled the competency hearing for the 21st of November. On the first day of the hearing, defense counsel moved for another week's continuance because they still felt unprepared to proceed and several of their witnesses were unavailable to testify in person. Ja at 894-95. The court denied the request, finding it not credible that they were not prepared. Ja at 895-96. It offered to allow the defense experts to appear remotely. Dr. Ballinger testified first. He had met with Roof 3 times for a total of 8 hours. Dr. Ballinger also spoke with the defense team for 1 hour and 45 minutes to listen to their experience working with Roof. He opined that Roof was competent to stand trial, noting that he does not have difficulty in understanding the procedures that he is involved in, and that there is evidence that he can assist counsel. JA at 908-9. He noted that Roof's full-scale IQ of 125 and verbal IQ of 141 placed him in the 96th and 99th percentile of the population. Respectively, Dr. Ballinger believed that Roof understood the proceedings better than the average defendant, and that it was very clear he had the ability to cooperate with his attorneys, should he so desire. JA at 908-9, 915. According to Dr. Ballinger, Roof's unwillingness to cooperate was not the result of widespread psychosis, but rooted in a deep-seated racial prejudice that Roof did not want blurred by a mental health defense. JA at 909, 913 to 1346. Dr. Ballinger testified that Roof likely suffers from social anxiety disorder and schizoid personality disorder, and that Roof might have some autistic spectrum traits but does not suffer from a psychotic process. Defense counsel pressed Dr. Ballinger on what the defense perceived to be his failure to fully consider the effects of Roof's alleged ASD. Dr. Ballinger explained that the pertinence of any ASD diagnosis was already captured in his evaluation of Roof's mental state and ability to assist counsel as required under the competency standard. After Dr. Ballinger, the court heard live testimony from 3 defense witnesses, an examining forensic psychiatrist, Donna S. Maddox, MD, William J. Stejkal, PhD, and an autism expert, Laura Carpenter, PhD. The court also accepted affidavits from 3 other defense witnesses, an autism expert who had examined Roof, Rachel Laughlin, PhD, a professor diagnosed with ASD who had met with Roof and defense counsel, Mr. John Elder Robeson, and a psychologist who had commented on the limitations of personality testing, John F. Edens, PhD. The forensic psychiatrist, Dr. Maddox, had met with Roof 9 times for a total of about 25 hours, 7 times before Roof complained of his attorney's supposed misconduct and 2 times after. Referencing the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 5th edition, DSM-5, Dr. Maddox believed that Roof suffers from autism spectrum disorder, other specified schizophrenia spectrum disorder, and other psychotic disorder, and other specified anxiety disorder. JA at 1486, 5243, she based those opinions on her observations that Roof used pedantic speech, which she associated with ASD, that he exhibited disorganized thinking and inappropriate constricted affect, that he lacked insight that he has a psychotic thought process, that he has a history of somatic delusions that cause him to believe that his head is lopsided, that his hair is falling out, and that all of his testosterone pooled to the left side of his body, that he exhibited paranoid beliefs about defense counsel, such as trying to discredit him, have him killed, and that he displayed transient symptoms of psychosis, at 1497, Dr. Maddox stated that she did not believe Roof had the capacity that she did not believe Roof. In sum, she concluded that Roof was not competent to psychologist had met with Roof for about 1 hour and 46 minutes over 2 days. He opined that Roof was in the prodromal phase of an emerging schizophrenic spectrum disorder, but was not yet fully possessed of a delusional disorder. Offered no settled conclusion as to how that diagnosis affected Roof's competency, stating only, although he did not have first-hand information about Roof's beliefs, that he would be liberated from prison, that he believed that Roof was motivated and intelligent enough to mask his irrational beliefs by telling the court. Dr. Stejkal testified that Roof was trying to look bad by selecting antisocial features during personality testing while also denying psychopathology, 1709-10. But he acknowledged that Roof scored within the normal range on the positive and person is trying to portray themselves in an unrealistically positive way. He did not opine on Roof's competency. He also noted that Roof exhibited reduced processing speed and a low working memory index. Dr. Carpenter, an autism expert, had not examined Roof and did not opine on his competency. She testified instead about common traits associated with ASD, including how it affects social communication and the ability to form relationships and understand social rules. Dr. Carpenter was unable to offer an opinion on whether ASD would disrupt Roof's ability to assist counsel. Referencing the affidavit of Professor Robeson, Dr. Carpenter noted that Roof's supposed belief that he was going to be pardoned was concerning, and those types of irrational beliefs are not necessarily just due to autism, and might suggest that something else was going on here as well. JA at 1638. Dr. Lofton, an autism expert, had met with Roof 3 times. Testifying by affidavit, she opined that Roof has ASD. He had told her that he was not afraid of receiving a death sentence, because he anticipated being rescued by white nationalists after they take over the government. JA at 1774. She also noted that Roof had psychiatric symptoms not explained by ASD, including anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation, obsessive-compulsive symptoms, disordered thinking, and, as manifestations of psychosis, delusions of grandeur and somatic delusions. She believed that his symptoms were consistent with the schizophrenia spectrum, but that it was too early to predict his psychiatric trajectory. JA at 1774. Dr. Lofton did not opine directly on Roof's competency. Professor Robeson, a professor who himself has ASD, had met with Roof. By affidavit, he testified that some of Roof's traits are common in people with ASD: inappropriate facial expressions, developmental delay, and unusual preoccupation with things like clothing. Professor Robeson stated that Roof had asked him not to testify, asserting that he was going to be pardoned in 4 or 5 years anyway. To Professor Robeson, that seemed delusional, a trait distinct from ASD, at 1823-24. He also listed concerns about Roof's ability to assist in his own defense, including Roof's apparent extreme sensory sensitivities, problems with executive functioning, and possible cognitive overload from the stress of trial. Dr. Edens, a psychologist and lead author of a personality assessment test similar to one that Roof took, had not examined Roof, but testified by affidavit about his review of Dr. Ballinger's report. Dr. Edens raised concerns about Dr. Ballinger's interpretation of Roof's personality tests, concluding, "I believe there are significant problems with how the findings have been interpreted in this case, particularly in regards to Dr. Ballinger's claims that they provide absolutely no evidence of psychosis." JA at 1783, the court also heard from Roof. Roof confirmed his understanding that he would likely be executed if sentenced to death. When the court asked whether Roof thought that he would be rescued from the death penalty by white nationalists, he responded that nothing is possible, but he understood that the chance of rescue was extremely unlikely and less than 0.5%. Ja at 1729-30. Roof also confirmed his ability to communicate with his lawyers, clarifying that he limited communication because he disagreed with their mitigation strategy. He stated that he did not want to introduce mental health evidence because it would discredit his act, which he argued was an attempt to increase racial tension and contribute to a potential white nationalist revolution. Roof also noted his disagreement with parts of Dr. Ballinger's 17 report, stating that he had never claimed that he wanted to be seen as a hero or that he wanted to preserve his reputation as a perfect specimen. Ja at 1731. Rather, Roof explained that he wanted to avoid institutionalization and forced medication. Following the 2-day competency hearing, the district court determined that Roof was competent to stand trial. Although the court viewed the defense experts' testimony on ASD as relevant mitigation evidence, it did not believe that the defense experts had shown that Roof's possible ASD would affect his understanding of the proceedings or his ability to assist counsel. The court also noted that Dr. Maddox was the only defense witness who opined on Roof's competency and acknowledged Dr. Maddox's concern that Roof believed white nationalists would save him from a death sentence. But both the court and Dr. Ballinger closely questioned Roof on that issue, and Roof confirmed his understanding that a death sentence would likely result in his death. The court disagreed with defense counsel's objections to Dr. Ballinger's experience, stating that Dr. Ballinger's assessment was superior to most competency evaluations in terms of thoroughness, insight, and analysis. JA at 2068-69N. It also relied on Roof's confirmation that his dispute with his attorneys was because he opposed their mental health mitigation strategy, as well as his confirmation that he could communicate with them if he so chose. Roof's demeanor during the competency hearing suggested no psychosis or severe mental distress, and raised not the slightest question or concern regarding his competency to stand trial. JA at 2078. 2. Second competency hearing. After the guilt phase of the trial, Roof advised the court that he wished to represent himself during the penalty phase. That reaffirmed a position he took after jury selection, when he switched from self-representation to being represented by counsel, but argued for a right to revert to self-representation for the penalty phase of the trial. On December 2015, before the penalty phase began, standby counsel challenged Roof's competency to stand trial or to represent himself during the penalty phase. Standby counsel stated that facts developed since the competency hearing supported a finding that Roof was by then incompetent. Ya at 50-242. Standby counsel expressed concern that Roof had decided to forego substantial mitigation evidence, and they believed that Roof would not defend himself during the penalty phase because he wanted to prevent the release of his mental health information. They described Roof's preoccupation with his clothing and other odd behavior during trial. Their competency motion included exhibits from 4 experts, 3 of whom had testified or submitted affidavits at the first competency hearing, but had since completed additional reports. The 3 who had provided earlier opinions were Dr. Lofton, the examining autism expert, Dr. Maddox, the examining forensic psychiatrist, and Professor Robeson, the professor with ASD. Opining for the first time was Dr. Paul J. Moberg, Ph.D., a neuropsychiatrist who had evaluated Roof 3 times in February 2016. Standby counsel requested consideration of the reports, which did not yet exist at the time of the competency proceedings in November. JA at 5243-44. In an abundance of caution, the district court ordered Dr. Ballinger to re-examine Roof and set a hearing for January 2, 2017. Ya at 5463-64. The court advised the parties that it would only hear evidence related to any developments since the 21st of November to June 22, 2016 hearing. JA at 52, standby counsel requested a 1-week continuance to allow more time for Dr. Ballinger and defense experts to meet with Roof, stating that the scope of the hearing was limited. It was not a redo of the first hearing. At 5470-71. At the beginning of the hearing, the court stated that the law of the case is that as of November 22, 2016, the defendant was competent. If there is any material change since then, I want to hear about it. No witness is going to be talking about something before that date because the law of the case is already established. Standby counsel objected to that limitation, arguing that it would preclude evidence and other psychotic symptoms evidenced by the now completed reports of multiple defense experts. The court disagreed. Dr. Ballinger testified first. The week prior, he had met with Roof for a total of 5 hours over 2 days, completed his evaluation, and wrote a second report. He testified that he had read standby counsel's competency motion and exhibits and had thoroughly discussed the issues with Roof. Ja at 5533. See also Ja at 5978-79. Dr. Ballinger opined that Roof still understood the issues and could assist counsel if he so desired. However, he explained that Roof was unwilling to assist his attorneys because he wants the right message to get out and not have it besmirched or muddied by saying that he did it because he was psychotic or had somatic delusions or was autistic, but that it simply be a political act. JA at 5,537, 5,543, 5,979 to 80, 5,992. Dr. Ballinger testified that mental illness did not control Roof's decision-making, that Roof's decision to reject mental health. Evidence was instead a logical extension of his political and social beliefs. In support, Dr. Ballinger noted that Roof compared himself to a terrorist who successfully murdered people as a purely political act. JA at 50539 to 40, 5982, 52985. Dr. Ballinger testified that people might project mental illness onto Roof because they cannot comprehend the depth of his racist views. He also testified that any autistic traits did not affect Roof's competency. Dr. Ballinger had questioned Roof again on his alleged belief that he would not be executed if sentenced to death, and Roof explained that he thought there was a greater than 50% chance he would receive the death penalty. JA at 5,546 to 47, 5,981. Although Roof had said that he hoped the death penalty will be abolished, he had laughed when Dr. Ballinger spoke about white nationalists rescuing him from prison. Dr. Ballinger believed that Roof was mess with people when he said that, and that Roof did not have a shred of doubt that he faced a real risk of death. Ja at 5,547, 5,584, 5,598. Considering whether Roof's denials of incompetency determination, Dr. Ballinger stated, "Very part of my examination beginning to the end was a test of his competency to stand trial. And I didn't find any significant problem with his competence to stand trial and defend himself." Ja at 50 544. Dr. Ballinger systematically through each of those issues that had been raised in the motion, and concluded that there was no change in Roof's capacity to understand the issues and to assist his attorneys. Ja at 535. Defense counsel moved to submit the newly completed Roof since the first competency hearing. The court admitted. The written reports but limited testimony to evidence arising after the first competency bearing. Dr. Lofton, the autism expert, testified and explained that she had observed, on video, traits consistent with attenuated psychosis and ASD. She said that some of these traits might impair Roof's ability to assist in his defense. Roof fixated on minor details while missing larger, more important ones. He got stuck and couldn't transition between topics. And he could not understand others' points of view. JA at 5,654 to 60. Appearing for the first time, Father John E. Parker, an Orthodox Christian priest, also testified. He said he had visited Roof weekly, beginning about a week after the shootings, spending approximately 100 hours with him. Father Parker testified that he could not reconcile Roof with the crime because Roof seemed neither cold-hearted nor angry, so the only way I can explain it is mental illness. JA at 5,690 to 92 did not think that Roof was a white nationalist despite his self-professed beliefs. He noted that Roof was intelligent and could recite facts read years earlier. When Roof spoke about race, however, Father Parker admitted that he sounded like a broken record, stuck in a loop of white nationalist rhetoric. JA at 5,689 to 93 of Roof's attorneys submitted a sworn declaration describing Roof's behavior during jury selection and the guilt phase of trial. They said that Roof demanded they do nothing and stop making objections, saying their efforts were causing him harm and that they were trying to kill him. Ja at 5,475. According to their declaration, Roof thought that the testimony of a female South Carolina law enforcement agent who read his journal into the record, including incendiary statements about blacks, Jews, and homosexual, was great for him because she had a nice voice. Ja at 5,476, see Ja at 4,234 to 59. He insisted that he did not have somatic delusions because his head and body are truly deformed. He expressed confidence that the jurors would not sentence him to death because they liked him, and that if they did impose a death sentence, he could stop the execution by crying before they stuck the needle in his arm. He accused his lawyers of trying to kill. Because the sweater they provided him felt filmy and smelled of detergent, Ja at 5,476, and he criticized defense counsel's closing argument because counsel did not tell jurors the statistics of black-on-white crime. At the end of the competency hearing, the court directly questioned Roof. He again denied believing that he would be saved by white nationalists if he received the death penalty. He acknowledged a high risk that he would be sentenced to death and ultimately executed if he presented no mitigation evidence. Roof confirmed once more that, to prevent his lawyers from undermining his message with mental health evidence, he wanted to represent himself. The court found Roof plainly competent to stand trial. J at 6,956. In its view, Roof fully understands that he faces a high risk of a death sentence if he presents no mitigation witnesses, and he understands that he faces a high risk of execution if sentenced to death. Ja at 60 AA at 66. It again concluded that Roof's resistance to mental health evidence continues to arise out of his political ideology, rather than any form of mental disease or defect, and that his social anxiety, possible autism, and other diagnoses, or possible diagnoses, do not prevent him from understanding the proceedings or assisting counsel with his defense. Ja at 6,966. Ja at 6 Aya at 62. The district court did not clearly err in finding Roof competent to stand trial. Roof now argues through counsel that the district court incorrectly found him competent to stand trial. The government counters that the district court's finding was not clearly erroneous and that any discrepancies between expert opinions do not warrant reversal. We agree with the government and find no clear error in the district court's competency determination. A criminal defendant may not be tried unless he is competent. Godinez v. Moran, 509 U.S. 389, 396, 1993, citing Pate v. Robinson, 383 U.S. 375, 378, 1966, a defendant is competent when he has sufficient present ability to consult with his lawyer with a reasonable degree of rational understanding, and he has a rational as well as factual understanding of the proceedings against him. Dusky v. United States, 362. Not every manifestation of mental illness demonstrates incompetence to stand trial. Rather, the evidence must indicate a present inability to assist counsel or understand the charges. Burkett v. Angelone, 208 F172, 192, 4th Sir. 2000. Neither low intelligence nor bizarre, volatile, and irrational behavior can be equated with mental incompetence to stand trial. ED. A district court is only required to ensure that had the capacity to understand, the capacity to assist, and the capacity to communicate with his counsel. Bell v. Evatt, 72 F421, 432, 4th Sir. 1995. Under federal law, the defendant has the burden, by a preponderance of the evidence, to show mental incompetence to stand trial, that is, that the defendant is presently suffering from a mental disease or defect rendering him mentally incompetent to the extent that he is unable to understand the nature and consequences of the proceedings against him or to assist properly in his defense. United States v. Robinson, 404 F, 850, 856, 4th Sir. 2005, quoting 18 U.S.C. Section 4241 D, Roof raises 5 potential errors. First, in a reversal of the position that he had taken in the district court and in opposition to his lawyers, he argues that the district court improperly characterized his expectation of a racial revolution as racist, rather than delusional. Citing United States v. Watson, Roof claims that psychotic delusions made him incompetent to stand trial. 793 F. 416, 4th Sir, 2015. In support of that contention, he points to several defense experts who opined that he was operating under the delusional belief that he would be rescued from death row by a white nationalist revolution. But that position reflects only one view contained in the record. Dr. Ballinger alternatively opined that Roof's unwillingness to cooperate with defense counsel was not the result of an underlying, widespread psychosis, but was instead rooted in a deep-seated racial prejudice that Roof did not want blurred by a mental health defense. Ya at 909, 91,315, 1346. Dr. Ballinger further noted, he fanciful notions that he'll be rescued by white nationalists, revolutionaries, who have taken over the government and let him out of jail. He laughs about the humor involved with that. He likes to mess with people. Ja at 5,546 to 47. During his evaluation, Roof said that he has some hope that the death penalty will be abolished and that he won't actually be executed, but he still considered execution likely. Ja at 5,546. Dr. Ballinger said that he did not think Roof has a shred of doubt about the real risk that he faces from trial and sentencing. Ya at 5,547. The district court itself also questioned Roof on whether he thought that white nationalists would rescue him from the death penalty. Roof responded that nothing is possible, and he would like for that to happen, but he understood the chance of his actually being rescued was vanishingly small, quantified as less than 0.5%. JA at 79. Given the conflicting record evidence and expert testimony, the court's decision to accept Dr. Ballinger's account is not against the great preponderance of the evidence. 9. See United States v. Wooden. See United States v. Wooden, 693 F. 456 4th C. Internal quotation marks and citation omitted, CF. City of Bessemer City, 570 U.S. and facially plausible story that is not contradicted by extrinsic evidence. That finding, if not internally inconsistent, can virtually never be clear error. Roof nevertheless argues that Lafferty v. Cook compels reversal. Lafferty dealt with an incorrect legal standard which tainted the district court's findings of fact. ID. At 1551N. Moreover, the defendant in Lafferty had a paranoid delusional system that severely impaired his ability to perceive and interpret reality. ID. At 1552. Here, even Roof's experts describe his psychotic symptoms as transitory, still developing, or otherwise not fully realized. No expert characterizes Roof's beliefs as severely impairing his ability to perceive and interpret reality to the extent described in Lafferty. And, even if any of the experts' reports could be read as suggesting that Roof was completely detached from reality, the district court was entitled to give greater weight to Dr. Ballinger's competing credible expert testimony that Roof was not so detached. Roof's second argument is that the district court relied too heavily on his in-court statement denying his delusional beliefs. That position does not square with the law or the record. The district court was in the best position to observe, and its determinations during trial are entitled to deference. United States v. Bernard, United States v. Bernard, United States v. Bernard, did not rely solely on its observations of Roof. instead appointing Dr. Ballinger to examine Roof's capacity to understand the issues and to assist his attorneys. JA at 50535. Very part of my examination beginning to the end was a test of competency to stand trial, and Dr. Ballinger didn't find any significant problem with competence to stand trial and defend himself. JA at 5544. Third, Roof argues that the district court ignored his lawyers' affidavits about his failure to communicate with them, F1286, 52, F1286, and a competency determination was unwarranted. But the court did not reject the possibility of Roof's incompetence. Rather, it ordered a competency hearing and appointed an expert to examine Roof. Ahead of the first competency hearing, Dr. Ballinger spoke with defense counsel for an hour and 45 minutes, and he addressed their concerns in his first report. Dr. Ballinger's second competency report thoroughly addressed the concerns that standby counsel raised about Roof's behavior since the first hearing. Acknowledging defense counsel's concerns, the court still found Roof competent. Fourth, Roof claims that the district court conflated Dusky's requirements of a rational as well as factual understanding of the proceedings against him. 362 U.S. at. Roof argues that he needs both cognitive and rational abilities when cannot substitute for the other. But the court found that Roof had both cognitive and rational abilities. Although the court pointed to Roof's high verbal IQ as evidence of cognitive capabilities, it did not rely solely on an IQ test. Instead, the court relied on Dr. Ballinger's opinion that Roof's choices reflected logical, rational thought, and that he elected, by his own choice, not to cooperate because he disagrees with actions. JA at 5536-37. The court did not fail to consider the possibility that a cognitively capable person could act irrationally. Instead, it reasonably relied on expert testimony that Roof was both cognitively capable and acting in a manner that was logically consistent, even if despicable. Fifth, Roof argues that the district court's reliance on Dr. Ballinger's opinion was clearly erroneous because the report ignored substantial contrary evidence. He complains that Dr. Ballinger was not credible because this was the doctor's first pretrial competency examination. Roof also claims that Dr. Ballinger did not consider childhood evidence, did not remember specific facts about Roof's developmental history, and did not consider the contrary opinions of Roof's experts. We find Roof's position in effect a dispute over the district court's weighing of the evidence to be unpersuasive. Beginning with the developmental history, Dr. Ballinger did consider the report that Dr. Lofton pulled together from many interviews about Roof's developmental history, as well as many pages of records of testimony of people about his childhood, his adolescence. JA at 555, his adolescence. Dr. Ballinger made clear that he read everything provided to him, grand jury testimony which he obtained permission from the court to omit from his review. Dr. Ballinger also did not disregard Roof's expert evidence that Roof suffers from either schizophrenia or ASD. Dr. Ballinger instead of presentation of clinical symptoms of schizophrenia was in remission, and that Roof displayed few symptoms of ASD, none of which would present a significant problem with his competency, none of which would consistently determine that Roof's beliefs were not delusions, they are actually just extreme racial views. He noted that his diagnosis was consistent with an earlier psychologist's report. And Dr. Ballinger testified, "There is a lot of projection going on here because of the incomprehensibility of his racial views, lead people to want to project mental illness on him." JA at 5594. Although Roof's defense team presented expert evidence disagreeing with Dr. Ballinger's findings, that does not warrant reversal. Roof has failed to demonstrate inconsistencies that leave us with a definite and firm conviction that a mistake has been committed. Easley v. Cromarty, 532, 2001. Dr. Ballinger, an experienced psychologist, had performed numerous similar evaluations. He was qualified, and the district court was well within its discretion to rely upon his testimony. The district court did not err in determining that Roof was competent to stand trial. See issue 2. The district court did not abuse its discretion by granting only in part defense counsel's request for a continuance of the first competency hearing. Roof argues that the district court should have granted his motion to continue the first competency hearing for an additional week to allow Dr. Lofton to complete her report and to testify in person. The government counters that the court granted at least 2 continuances to Roof and made other concessions, so Roof was not prejudiced. I. The denial of a continuance contravenes a defendant's Sixth Amendment right to counsel only when there has been an unreasoning and arbitrary insistence upon expeditiousness in the face of a justifiable request for delay. United States v. Hedgepeth, 418 F. 411, 423 4th Sir, 2005, quoting Morris v. Slappy, 461 U.S. 1, 11-12, 1983. He tests for whether a trial judge has abused his discretion. In denying a continuance is not mechanical. It depends mainly on the reasons presented to the district judge at the time the request is denied. United States v. LaRouche, 896 F. 815, 823 4th Sir, 1990. The district court did not err in denying further delay. In United States v. Klinger, we found an abuse of discretion, where a witness could not be made available without a one-day continuance. 681 F. 221, 223 4th Sir, 1982. But, unlike the district court in Klinger, the district court here offered that one of Roof's several experts, Dr. Lofton, could testify telephonically or by video. Cf. United States v. Ellis, 263 degrees Fahrenheit. Apix 286, 208-9-90 4th Sir, 2008, holding that a failure to grant a continuance to allow an expert completely unavailable to testify as the sole expert was an abuse of discretion. As we have long recognized, telephonic and electronic testimony is an acceptable practice. See United States v. Baker, F. 837, 848, 4th Sir. Approving the use of video conferencing in a mental competency hearing. Even if the continuance would have allowed Dr. Lofton to finalize her report, she could have proffered through live, telephonic, or video testimony some material from the report. Moreover, the defense had already received 2 continuances. The court continued the jury selection to assess Roof's competency, and then continued the competency hearing to give Roof more time to review Dr. Ballinger's report. The district court was not single-mindedly fast-tracking the trial, but instead considering each request for a continuance and weighing it against the need for efficiency. See Hedgepeth, 418 degrees Fahrenheit. At 423 to 24, approving the same kind of non-arbitrary process for judging motions to continue. Here, the trial court balanced the interests of all parties and reached a well-considered decision to proceed. United States v. Backer, 925 F. 728, 7. Nor has Roof established prejudice. Roof must show that the denial of a continuance specifically prejudiced case in order to prevail. That is, Roof must state that the court's ruling undermined confidence of the competency hearing. That is, Roof must demonstrate hearing at 896 degrees Fahrenheit. Dr. Lofton's expert report, submitted in the stand trial. Although Dr. Lofton mentions Roof's possible psychotic symptoms, her opinion largely duplicates Dr. Maddox's and Dr. Stejskel's earlier testimony. Additional corroboration for already considered evidence and argument would not demonstrate prejudice here. Roof's speculation and conclusory allegations of prejudice are insufficient to establish abuse of discretion by the trial court in denying a continuance. United States v. Lorick, 753 F. 1295, 1297, 4th Sir, 1985. Roof has not shown that Dr. Lofton's report would undermine confidence in the outcome of the competency hearing, so he fails to show prejudice. See LaRouche, 896 degrees Fahrenheit. At D. Issue 3, the district court did not abuse its discretion by limiting evidence allowed at the second competency hearing. Roof argues that the district court should have reconsidered its previous competency determination more fully at the second competency hearing, rather than focusing on whether his competence changed between the 2 hearings. He further claims that the district court misapplied the law of the case doctrine, excluding evidence from before the first hearing, which ended on November 22, 2016. We disagree and see no abuse of discretion. Even after a defendant is deemed competent, a trial court must always be alert to circumstances suggesting a change that would render the accused unable to meet the standards of competence to stand trial. Drope v. Missouri, 420 U.S. 162, 181, 1975. Evidence of a defendant's irrational behavior, his demeanor at trial, and any prior medical opinion on competence to stand trial are all relevant in determining whether a further inquiry into competence is required. Id. At 180, see
They are just going to go back and forth for this entire document about his competency and whether or not he stands fit for trial. It's just a lot of legal back and forth. So we are going to hop to the next thing, but we are going to save the death penalty document for last because I did check and he is on death row, so he will be getting an execution date eventually. It's just up in the air at this moment because of all the legal back and forth with whether or not it is his appeals for the death penalty, basically, or his defense's appeal for the death penalty because he's filed multiple. We will get into the Justice Department announces multi-million-dollar civil settlement in principle in Mother Emanuel Charleston Church mass shooting. Department agrees to settle allegations surrounding FBI actions. Here we go.
Today, the Department of Justice announced that it has reached an agreement in principle to settle the civil cases arising out of the June 2015 Mother Emanuel AME Church mass shooting in Charleston, South Carolina. These settlements will resolve claims by 14 plaintiffs arising out of the shooting. Plaintiffs agreed to settle claims alleging that the FBI was negligent when it failed to prohibit the sale of a gun by a licensed firearms dealer to the shooter, a self-proclaimed white supremacist who wanted to start a race war and specifically targeted the 200-year-old historically African-American congregation. For those killed in the shooting, the settlements range from $6 million to settlements range from $6 million. The settlements are for $5 million per claimant. The parties have been in litigation since 2016, including before the District Court and the Federal Court of Appeals. The mass shooting at Mother Emanuel AME Church was a horrific hate crime that caused immeasurable suffering for the families of the victims and the survivors, said Attorney General Merrick B. Garland. Since the day of the shooting, the Justice Department has sought to bring justice to the community, first by a successful hate crime prosecution and today by settling civil claims. The nation grieved following the mass shooting at Mother Emanuel, and no one was more profoundly affected than the families of the victims and the survivors we have reached a settlement with today, said Associate Attorney General Vanita Gupta. The department hopes that these settlements, combined with its prosecution of the shooter, will bring some modicum of justice to the victims of this heinous act of hate. The department is pleased to bring closure to this long-running litigation, said Acting Assistant Attorney General Brian M. Boynton of the Justice Department's Civil Division. These settlement agreements represent another chapter in the justice system's efforts to address this horrific event, following the government's prosecution and conviction of the shooter for federal hate crimes. On June 17, 2015, Mother Emanuel congregants welcomed a stranger who had entered their church. They invited him to participate in their Wednesday night Bible study. Tragically, at the close of the Bible study, the young man they had welcomed killed 9 people, including Mother Emanuel's pastor, Reverend Clementa Pinckney, also a South Carolina state senator. The families of the Emanuel 9, as well as the 5 survivors who were inside the church at the time of the shooting, sued the government. They sought to recover for wrongful death and physical injuries arising from the shooting. Plaintiffs asserted that the FBI's National Instant Criminal Background Check System failed to timely discover that the shooter was a person prohibited by federal law from possessing a firearm. Plaintiffs alleged that because of this delay, the shooter was able to purchase the handgun that he used to commit the atrocity. The FBI and NICS play a crucial role in combating gun violence. Since this tragic shooting, the FBI has worked to strengthen and improve the background check process. The department and FBI are also actively working to combat gun violence, which is a significant aspect of the department's comprehensive violent crime reduction strategy. After the shooting, the department prosecuted the shooter for federal hate crimes and obtained a conviction. Under applicable law, the court must approve the settlements for many of the plaintiffs. All parties expect that the court will agree that these settlements are fair and reasonable. This case was handled by the Justice Department Civil Division. Updated February 6, 2025. Topics: hate.
That was the settlement. I will link this so you guys can check it out. It's the cases of interest, and it's all of the stuff that's like, there's exhibits in here. So the defense and then government, all the exhibits that have been filed and stuff. There's a lot of exhibits. We're not going to get into all of those today because this would be like a 6-hour long live stream and that would be crazy. This is the Attorney General Lynch statement following federal grand jury indictment against Dylan Storm. So we'll see what Attorney General Lynch had to say about everything.
Attorney General Lynch released the following statement after the federal grand jury released its indictment against Dylan Storm Roof. Good afternoon, and thank you for coming. I am joined here today by Vanita Gupta, the head of the Department's Civil Rights Division, and Mark Giuliano, Deputy Director of the FBI. We are here today to announce that a federal grand jury in South Carolina has returned a 33-count indictment against Dylan Storm Roof, charging him with federal hate crimes and firearms charges for killing and attempting to kill African-American parishioners at Emanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston, South Carolina, because of their race and in order to interfere with their exercise of their religion. As set forth in the indictment, several months prior to the tragic events of the 17th of June, Roof conceived of his goal of increasing racial tensions throughout the nation and seeking retribution for perceived wrongs he believed African Americans had committed against white people. To carry out these twin goals of fanning racial flames and exacting revenge, Roof further decided to seek out and murder African Americans because of their race. An essential element of his plan, however, was to find his victims inside of a church, specifically an African American church, to ensure the greatest notoriety and attention to his actions. As alleged, Roof set forth the evening of June 17, 2015, to carry out this plan and drove to the Emanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston, South Carolina, known as Mother Emanuel. Mother Emanuel was his destination specifically because it was a historically African American church of significance to the people of Charleston, of South Carolina, and the nation. On that summer evening, Dylan Roof found his targets, African Americans engaged in worship. Met with welcome by the ministers of the church and its parishioners, he joined them in their Bible study group. The parishioners had Bibles. Dylan Roof had his .45 caliber Glock pistol and 8 magazines loaded with hollow point bullets. And as set forth in the indictment, while the parishioners of Mother Emanuel were engaged in religious worship and Bible study, Dylan Roof drew his pistol and opened fire on them, ultimately killing 9 church members. As you know, the state of South Carolina is also prosecuting Roof for the murders, attempted murders, and firearms offenses he is alleged to have committed. We commend the state authorities for their tremendous work and quick response. It is important to note, however, that South Carolina does not have a hate crime statute, and as a result, the state charges do not reflect the alleged hate crime offenses presented in the federal indictment returned today. The federal indictment returned today charges Roof with 9 murders and 3 attempted murders under the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Hate Crimes Prevention Act. This federal hate crimes law prohibits using a dangerous weapon to cause bodily injury or attempting to do so on the basis of race or color. The Shepard-Byrd Act was enacted specifically to vindicate the unique harms caused by racially motivated violence. Roof is also charged with 9 murders and 3 attempted murders under a second federal hate crime statute that prohibits the use or threat of force to obstruct any person's free exercise of their religious beliefs. Finally, Roof has been charged with multiple counts of using a firearm in the commission of these racially motivated murders and attempted murders. For these crimes, Roof faces penalties of up to life imprisonment or the death penalty. No decision has been made on whether to seek the death penalty in this case. The department will follow our usual rigorous protocol to thoroughly consider all factual and legal issues relevant to that decision, which will necessarily involve counsel for the defendant Roof. In addition, consultation with the victims' families is an important part of this decision-making process, and no decision will be made before conferring with them. The family members of those killed at Emanuel AME and the survivors were informed of these federal charges earlier today. I also note that this indictment contains allegations and is not evidence of the defendant's guilt. This federal grand jury indictment follows an announcement I made on June 18, 2015, that the Department of Justice was conducting a hate crime investigation into the shooting incident at Emanuel AME. Immediately following the shooting, experienced prosecutors from the U.S. Attorney's Office in South Carolina and the Civil Rights Division began working closely with the FBI, ATF, and state and local law enforcement officials, including the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, or SLED, Charleston Police, and the Solicitor's Office for the Ninth Circuit of South Carolina, in thoroughly investigating these crimes. I would like to the many state and federal law enforcement officials for their dedication and hard work to ensure that this investigation was conducted thoroughly and expeditiously. I would also like to thank South Carolina U.S. Attorney Bill Nettles for his and his office's tremendous efforts on this case, as well as the dedicated attorneys from the Civil Rights Division. In particular, I would like to thank Charleston Solicitor Scarlett Wilson for being such a cooperative and effective partner in this matter. We have a strong working relationship with Solicitor Wilson and her office, and we look forward to our continued collaboration as these parallel state and federal prosecutions work their way through their respective court systems. Questions? Updated February 5th, 2025. Component.
Hello. That was the Attorney General's statement. I just remembered one of these is, in fact, his manifesto. No, it is right here. I forgot. This is his manifesto. I wanted to show this first, but I didn't realize I had it pulled up. So this is TPM publishing the full text of a racist manifesto that surfaced on the website lastroaddesign.com, which was registered under the name of suspected Charleston, South Carolina gunman Dylan Roof. The white 21-year-old was arrested and charged with murder in the massacre of 9 people this week inside a historic Black church in the city. The manifesto has not been verified as belonging to Roof, but the website also included multiple photos like the one above of a man who appears to be him. Burning the American flag, by the way. Like, what? I'm not going to read the manifesto because, as the warning says, the text below contains racist slurs and other offensive language, and I'm just not comfortable reading that. But here we go.
I was not raised in a racist home or environment. Living in the South, almost every white person has a small amount of racial awareness, simply views of the numbers of Negroes in this part of the country. But it is a superficial awareness. Growing up in school, the white and black kids would make racial jokes toward each other, but all they were jokes. Me and white friends would sometimes watch things that would make us think that blacks were the real racists and other elementary thoughts like this. But there was no real understanding behind it. The event that truly awakened me was the Trayvon Martin case. I kept hearing and seeing his name, and eventually I decided to look him up. I read the Wikipedia article, and right away I was unable to understand what the big deal was. It was obvious that Zimmerman was in the right. But more importantly, this prompted me to type in the words black on white crime into Google, and I've never been the same since that day. The first website I came to was the Council of Conservative Citizens. There were pages upon pages of these brutal black on white murders. I was in disbelief. At this moment, I realized that something was very wrong. How could the news be blowing up the Trayvon Martin case while hundreds of these black on white murders got ignored? From this point, I researched deeper and found out what's happening in Europe. I saw that the same things were happening in England and European countries. Again, I found myself in disbelief. As an American, we are taught to accept living in the melting pot, and black and other minorities have just as much right to be here as we do, since we are all immigrants. But Europe is the homeland of white people, and in many ways, the situation is even worse there. From here, I found out about the Jewish problem and other issues facing our race, and I can say today that I am completely racially aware. Blacks. I think it is fitting to start off with the group I have the most real-life experience with, and the group that is the biggest problem for Americans. Niggers are stupid and violent. At the same time, they have the capacity to be very slick. Black people view everything through a racial lens. That's what racial awareness is. It's viewing everything that happens through a racial lens. They are always thinking about the fact that they are black. This is part of the reason they get offended so easily and think that something are intended to be racist towards them, even when a white person wouldn't be thinking about race. The other reason is the Jewish agitation of the black race. Black people are racially aware almost from birth, but white people on average don't think about race in their daily lives, and this is our problem. We need to and have to. Say you were to witness a dog being beat by a man, you are almost surely going to feel very sorry for that dog. But then say you were to witness a dog biting a man, you will most likely not feel the same pity you felt for the dog for the man. Why? Because dogs are lower than men. This same analogy applies to black and white relations. Even today, blacks are subconsciously viewed by white people as lower beings. They are held to a lower standard in general. This is why they are able to get away with things like obnoxious behavior in public, because it is expected of them. Modern history classes instill a subconscious white superiority complex in whites and an inferiority complex in blacks. This white superiority complex that comes from learning of how we dominated other peoples is also part of the problem I have just mentioned. But of course I don't deny that we are in fact superior. I wish with a passion that niggers were treated terribly throughout history by whites, that every white person had an ancestor who owned slaves, that segregation was an evil and oppressive institution, and so on. Because if it was all true, it would make it so much easier for me to accept our current situation. But it isn't true. None of it is. We are told to accept what is happening to us because of ancestors' wrongdoing, but it is all based on historical lies, exaggerations, and myths. I have tried endlessly to think of reasons we deserve this, and I have only came back more irritated because there are no reasons. Only a fourth to a third of people in the South owned even one slave. Yet every white person is treated as if they had a slave-owning ancestor. This applies to in the states where slavery never existed, as well as people whose families immigrated after slavery was abolished. I have read hundreds of slaves' narratives from my state, and almost all of them were positive. One sticks out in my mind where an old ex-slave recounted how the day his mistress died was one of the saddest days of his life. And in many of these narratives, the slaves told of how their masters didn't even allowing whipping on his plantation. Segregation was not a bad thing. It was a defensive measure. Segregation did not exist to hold back Negroes. It existed to protect us from them. And I mean that in multiple ways. Not only did it protect us from having to interact with them and from being physically harmed by them, but it protected us from being brought down to their level. Integration has done nothing but bring whites down to the level of brute animals. The best example of this is obviously our school system. Now, white parents are forced to move to the suburbs to send their children to good schools. But what constitutes a good school? The fact is that how good a school is considered directly corresponds to how white it is. I hate with a passion the whole idea of the suburbs. To me, it represents nothing but scared white people running. Running because they are too weak, scared, and brainwashed to fight. Why should we have to flee the cities we created for the security of the suburbs? Why are the suburbs secure in the first place? Because they are white. The pathetic part is that these white people don't even admit to themselves why they are moving. They tell themselves it is for better schools or simply to live in a nicer neighborhood. But it is honestly just a way to escape niggers and other minorities. But what about the white people that are left behind? What about the white children who, because of school zoning laws, are forced to go to a school that is 90% black? Do we really think that that white kid will be able to go one day without being picked on for being white or called a white boy? And who is fighting for him? Who is fighting for these white people forced by economic circumstances to live among Negroes? No one, but someone has to. Here, I would also like to touch on the idea of a Northwest Front. I think this idea is beyond stupid. Why should I, for example, give up the beauty and history of my state to go to the Northwest? To me, the whole idea just parallels the concept of white people running to the suburbs. The whole idea is pathetic and just another way to run from the problem without facing it. Some people feel as though the South is beyond saving, that we have too many blacks here. To this I say, look at history. The South had a higher ratio of blacks when we were holding them as slaves. Look at South Africa and how such a small minority held the black in apartheid for years and years. Speaking of South Africa, if anyone thinks that will eventually just change for the better, consider how in South Africa they have affirmative action for the black population that makes up 80% of the population. It is far from being too late for America or Europe. I believe that even if we made up only 30% of the population, we could take it back completely. But by no means should we wait any longer to take drastic action. Anyone who thinks that white and black people look as different as we do on the outside, but are somehow magically the same on the inside, is delusional. How could our faces, skin, hair, and body structure all be different, but our brains be exactly the same? This is the nonsense we are led to believe. Negroes have lower IQs, lower impulse control, and higher testosterone levels in general. These three things alone are a recipe for violent behavior. If a scientist publishes a paper on the differences between the races in Western Europe or Americans, he can expect to lose his job. There are personality traits within human families, and within different breeds of cats or dogs, so why not within the races? A horse and a donkey can breed and make a mule, but they are still two completely different animals. Just because we can breed with the other races doesn't make us the same. In a modern history class, it is always emphasized that when talking about bad things whites have done in history, they were white. But when we learn about the numerous, almost countless wonderful things whites have done, it is never pointed out that these people were white. Yet when we learn about anything important done by a black person in history, it is always pointed out repeatedly that they were black. For example, when we learn about how George Washington Carver was the first nigger smart enough to open a peanut. On another subject, I want to say this. Many white people feel as though they don't have a unique culture. The reason for this is that white culture is world culture. I don't mean that our culture is made up of other cultures. I mean that our culture has been adopted by everyone in the world. This makes us feel as though our culture isn't special or unique. Say, for example, that every businessman in the world wore a kimono, that every skyscraper was in the shape of a pagoda, that every door was a sliding one, and that everyone ate every meal with chopsticks. This would probably make a Japanese man feel as though he had no unique traditional culture. I have noticed a great disdain for race-mixing white women within the white nationalist community, bordering on insanity. These women are victims, and they can be saved. Stop. Jews. Unlike many white nationalists, I am of the opinion that the majority of American and European Jews are white. In my opinion, the issues with Jews is not their blood, but their identity. I think that if we could somehow destroy the Jewish identity, then they wouldn't cause much of a problem. The problem is that Jews look white, and in many cases are white, yet they see themselves as minorities. Just like niggers, most Jews are always thinking about the fact that they are Jewish. The other issue is that they network. If we could somehow turn every Jew blue for 24 hours, I think there would be a mass awakening because people would be able to see plainly what is going on. I don't pretend to understand why Jews do what they do. They are enigma. Hispanics. Hispanics are obviously a huge problem for Americans. But there are good Hispanics and bad Hispanics. While watching Hispanic television stations, the shows and even the commercials were more white than our own, they have respect for white beauty, and a good portion of Hispanics are white. It is a well-known fact that white Hispanics make up the elite of most Hispanics countries. There is good white blood worth saving in Uruguay, Argentina, Chile, and even Brazil. But they are still our enemies. East Asians. I have great respect for the East Asian races. Even if we were to go extinct, they are by nature very racist and could be great allies of the white race. I am not opposed at all to allies with the Northeast Asian races. Patriotism. I hate the sight of the American flag. Modern American patriotism is an absolute joke. People pretending like they have something to be proud while white people are being murdered daily in the streets. Many veterans believe we owe them something for protecting our way of life, or protecting our freedom. But I'm not sure what way of life they are talking about. How about we protect the white race and stop fighting for the Jews? I will say this, though. I myself would have rather lived in 1940s American than Nazi Germany, and no, this is not ignorant speaking, it is just my opinion. So I don't blame the veterans of any wars up until after Vietnam, because at least they had an American to be proud of and fight for. An explanation. To take a saying from a film, I see all this stuff going on and I don't see anyone doing anything about it. And it pisses me off. To take a saying from my favorite film, even if my life is worth less than a speck of dirt, I want to use it for the good of society. I have no choice. I am not in the position to, alone, go into the ghetto and fight. I chose Charleston because it is the most historic city in my state, and at one time had the highest ratio of blacks to whites in the country. We have no skinheads, no real KK, no one doing anything but talking on the internet. Well, someone has to have the bravery to take it to the real world, and I guess that has to be me. Unfortunately, at the time of writing, I am in a great hurry, and some of my best thoughts. Actually, many of them have been to be left out and lost forever. But I believe enough great white minds are out there already. Please forgive any typos. I didn't have time to check it.
That was the most bizarre manifesto I've ever read. I am at a loss for words. I've never read something like that before. Wowza. Okay, we're gonna read through this one instead of the whole death penalty document because the document is going to include a bunch of information that's just not necessary. So we will go through the federal jury sentences Dylan Storm Roof to death.
Charleston, SC. U.S. Attorney Beth Drake of the District of South Carolina announced today that after 3 hours of deliberation, a federal jury in Charleston sentenced Dylan Storm Roof, 22, to death. On December 15, 2016, the same jury had convicted Roof of 33 counts of federal hate crimes, obstruction of religious exercise, and firearms charges for killing and attempting to kill African-American worshipers at Emanuel African Methodist Episcopal AME Church, also known as Mother Emanuel. District Judge Richard M. Gergel of the District of South Carolina presided over the trial and will hold the formal sentencing on January 11, 2017 at 9:30 a.m. Assistant Attorney General Leslie R. Caldwell of the Justice Department's Criminal Division, Principal Deputy Assistant Attorney General Vanita Gupta of the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division, Special Agent in Charge Alfonso Norris of the FBI's Columbia Division, Chief Mark Keel of South Carolina's Law Enforcement Division, SLED, and Chief Gregory G. Mullen of the Charleston Police Department join U.S. Attorney Drake in making today's announcement. Motivated by racist hatred, Dylan Roof murdered and attempted to murder innocent African-American parishioners as they worshipped in the historic Mother Emanuel Church, said U.S. Attorney Drake. But contrary to Roof's desire to sow the seeds of hate, his acts did not tear this community apart. Instead of agitating racial tensions as he had hoped, Roof's deadly attack inside Mother Emanuel became an attack on all of us, and the community stood in solidarity. Now, following a trial, the jury has rendered a sentence that underscores the severity of his crimes. We here in the U.S. Attorney's Office and the Department of Justice want to express our condolences to the victims and their loved ones, and to commend the dedication and hard work by the jury, the law enforcement officers that work the case, the victim advocate team, and the court to ensure a fair and just process. I would like to take this opportunity to highlight the outstanding cooperative effort of our FBI special agents and professional support staff. Our local and state partners, the Charleston Police Department and the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, and the United States Attorney's Office, which began on the horrific night of June 17, 2015, said Special Agent in Charge Norris. Their excellent work has brought about what we hope is another step toward healing for the families of the victims and the Charleston community. Following the guilty verdict, the sentencing phase of the trial began on January 4, 2017. Today, the jury sentenced Roof to death on all 18 capital counts, including 9 counts of obstruction of exercise of religion resulting in death, 1 count for each victim killed in the attack, and 9 counts of use of a firearm to commit murder during and in relation to his hate crimes and obstructions of religious exercise, 1 count for each of the 9 victims. In making today's announcement, U.S. Attorney Drake also thanked the U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the U.S. Marshals Service, the Charleston County Sheriff's Office, the Charleston Fire Department, the Shelby Police Department, and the Ninth Circuit Solicitor's Office for their invaluable assistance over the course of the investigation. The case is being prosecuted by Assistant U.S. Attorneys Jay Richardson and Nathan Williams of the District of South Carolina, Deputy Chief Richard Burns of the Justice Department's Capital Case Section, and Special Litigation Counsel Stephen Curran and Trial Attorney Mary Hahn of the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division. Related content. Press release.
Okay, that was the Attorney General of, I don't remember what state, it said it at the top, their press release for the death penalty. And this is after he pled guilty. So we're going to listen to that. And then
Convicted Charleston church shooter Dylan Roof was given 9 consecutive life sentences in state prison after he pleaded guilty to state murder charges Monday, leaving him to await execution in a federal prison and sparing his victims and their families the burden of a second trial. Judge J.C. Nicholson imposed the sentences following a hearing in which church members and Roof's grandfather testified about the personal toll of the case. Standing at the defense table with his attorneys, clad in a gray and white striped jail jumpsuit and handcuffed to a chain at his waist, the self-avowed white supremacist entered his guilty pleas. Under a plea agreement, Judge J.C. Nicholson sentenced Roof to life in prison on the state murder charges. The deal with state prosecutors, who also had been pursuing the death penalty, came in exchange for a life prison sentence on the state charges. But before sentencing Roof, Nicholson heard members of historically black Emanuel AME Church describe the toll the June 2015 shooting took on them and their community. The impact at Mother Emanuel has been far-reaching, said Pastor Eric Manning, who currently leads Emanuel's congregation. We visit the crime scene every day. Blondell Gadsden, sister of slain Myra Thompson, said, even though we're at a point where death has been the sentence for him, my heart still goes out to him in hopes that he would repent to save himself from himself. I can't think of anything worse that he could do at this point than to not accept Christ and try to make his days on this earth a little bit more peaceful. But Ava Dilligard, whose sister Susie Jackson was slain by Roof, said, I think somebody doing something like that, he should get deaf. I'm very sorry. I'm a child of God. But he hurt the entire family. The judge also heard from Roof's grandfather, Columbia attorney Joe Roof. I want everyone to understand that nothing is all bad, and Dylan is not all bad, the elder Roof said. He added that he and his wife pray for the Emanuel families every night and are sensitive to their problems. We have been distressed and just sick over what has happened to these families, the grandfather said. Dylan Roof had been unapologetic at his federal trial as he listened to days of testimony from survivors. They described in harrowing detail the hail of bullets that began when parishioners closed their eyes to pray during a Bible study. After Monday's hearing, Roof, 23, will return to a local jail, while technically in the custody of the U.S. Marshals Service, until he's transferred to a Bureau of Prisons facility in short order. A law enforcement official, with knowledge of the case, told the Associated Press. The official spoke on a condition of anonymity because he wasn't authorized to speak publicly about the case. Roof will be taken to a federal prison in another state, where he will await his execution on charges of hate crimes and obstruction of the practice of religion. Roof was convicted late last year of 33 federal charges. He was sentenced to death during a separate proceeding earlier this year. Relatives of each of the 9 people killed attended court each day of his federal trial. Some testified with emotion about the voids left by the losses of their loved ones. Survivors of the shooting also spoke in court during the federal trial, evoking chilling images of the bloody Wednesday night tableau. Jennifer Pinckney, the widow of slain pastor in state San Clemente Pinckney, brought some jurors to tears with her description of how she shielded her young daughter in her husband's office as the bullets rang out in the nearby fellowship hall. During his federal trial, Roof was placid, unapologetic. Twice found competent to stand trial, Roof fired his defense team for the sentencing portion of his proceedings, calling no witnesses or putting up any evidence of his own. I have the right to ask you to give me a life sentence, but I'm not sure what good it would do anyway, Roof told jurors in his closing argument. I still feel like I had to do it through their attorneys. Some relatives and survivors spoke out when the state plea arrangement was announced by prosecutors last month. Charleston attorney Andy Savage, who represents several of the families, said the arrangement to transfer Roof to a federal institution and away from Charleston is the preference of all victims that I represent. The afternoon briefing, Chicago Tribune editor's top. Savage said Felicia Sanders, who watched as both her son and her aunt died in the shootings, summed up her feelings in 2 words. Praise God. Manning told the judge on Monday that the church's resiliency will continue to inspire not only the church members, but we would pray the entire state, country, and world. For surely love is always stronger than hate, and hate will never win. Associated Press.
That is just so sad that all the families were there for the entirety of the federal trial, but it's definitely good that he got transferred out of state and is in a federal prison awaiting execution away from any of the victims' families. This is Dylan Roof confessing to FBI agents. The first few minutes are them reading him his rights, having him read that he understands his rights and is agreeing to talk to them, and then signing away his rights.
Or have an attorney present with you during questioning. If you can't afford to hire an attorney, one can be appointed for you and made.
And we are just going to let it play like we do all long interviews. I'll speed it up a little bit, but yeah.
If you're willing to discuss
2 hours
the
long.
offense under investigation or without a lawyer present, you have the right to stop questioning at any time or speak to an attorney before answering any other questions. Do you understand that? Put your initials there. All right. What I'd like you to do, can you read this for me? I want to make sure you understand that.
You want me to read it out loud?
Yeah, read that out loud, this little paragraph right there.
Okay. I have read the statement of my rights and I understand what my rights are. I am willing to make a statement and answer questions. I do not want a lawyer at this time. I understand and know what I am doing. No promises or threats have been made to me and no pressure or coercion of any kind has been used against me by anyone.
Okay. Having all these rights in mind, do you wish to speak with us?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Can you sign your name right there, please? Very good.
You're from South Carolina, right? You lived there your whole life? Where'd you go to school?
Yes. In Lexington, South Carolina. White Knoll High School, but then I went to Dreer High School in Columbia. But then I dropped out of it and went to online school. And then I dropped out of online school. And then I just got a GED, that's it.
You got your GED.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. What kind of work do you do?
Well, I don't have a job right now, but the only job I've ever had was just doing landscaping, like lawn maintenance, I guess. That's pretty much what it was.
Okay. Okay. And where in Columbia did you live? Did you live with your mom or your dad or?
Yes. In Eastover.
Eastover?
It's sort of.
I know where Eastover is. Yeah. Out Garner Ferry Road?
Right.
Okay. Was that your mom or your?
Well, that's my mom's boyfriend's house. But, I lived there.
Okay.
But lately, I've been living, my dad's house too a little bit. So.
Okay. Where's he live?
He lives right in Columbia, right downtown.
Okay.
Right. Near Park Street.
Okay. I know what you're talking about. Okay. Well, can you tell us about what happened last night?
Well, yeah, I went to that church in Charleston, and, I did it.
You did what? Well, I know it's tough sometimes to say.
It's not that I don't want to say it because I don't want to make myself seem guilty. I just don't really like saying it.
But I know sometimes we have to face those things, the realities.
We don't want to put any words in your mouth. That's why.
Right.
That's why Agent Stansbury just was asking what it exactly is that you did do.
Well, I killed him. Well, I guess. I don't really know.
Well,
I don't know how many people or anything like that.
So did you shoot him?
Yes.
What kind of gun did you use?
A Glock 45.
Okay. Was that your gun or?
Yes, I bought it from the gun store.
Which gun store did you buy that from?
Shooter's Choice.
Shoot in West Columbia, Shooter's Choice?
Well, it's in Columbia. I'm not sure.
West.
Yeah.
They got the indoor gun range there?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've never used it, but yes, they have one.
Okay, so it's
How long ago did you purchase that the weapon?
It's July?
yeah. No, it's June. We're in June right now.
Oh, it's June, okay. Probably like 2 months ago.
About 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So you just turned 21, right?
Right.
So it was like it was for your birthday or?
No, I bought it when I turned 21.
Yeah. So all right. So going back to the church, you you pulled out the gun and you shot him? Started shooting people? Or how, I mean, how?
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, so, do you know how many people you shot?
If I was gonna guess, five, maybe. I'm really not sure exactly.
Well,
4, 5. I'm not sure.
did you say anything to him before or after or during?
No, I didn't say anything to them before or anything.
Before. What about after?
Well, I think like during, I said like, don't talk to me or something like that, you know.
That's why you were shooting?
Well, I feel like in the middle, you know. But I didn't really talk to him.
Okay.
How long were you at the church before you actually, before you pulled your weapon out? You said yourself you shot, you think maybe 5 or so people. How long were you at the church before you decided that you were going to do that?
Well, I just went in the church, you know, and then I sat down with them for like maybe 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
It could have been 20, it could have been 10, but I think it's probably around 15.
Were they having a meeting or something? Or?
No, this was a Bible study class.
So you knew the Bible study class was going to happen?
Yes, because I had went there before and asked them.
Okay, so you've been to the church before?
Well, not in it.
But outside, so when do you have Bible study? Or?
Well, yeah, I just saw somebody get into their car and I asked them.
When was that?
Oh, that was like, oh God. That was probably, I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Well, right before, or when you pulled out your gun and started to shoot, or right before, did you remember what you said, or if you said anything to the people when you pulled? Because I mean,
Oh, no, I
if
didn't
you
say
suddenly pulled out a gun and I'm like,
right, that's what I did. I didn't say anything to them before I pulled it out.
did they
Not even one word. I didn't say anything to them.
did they see or anybody react to you as you pulled the gun out, or were you already shooting before they knew what was happening?
I mean, they reacted after I shot.
Yeah,
yeah.
Right.
I guess my question, it might have been a bad question. I was just trying to figure, you know, some of the, if I suddenly found out a gun, if I pulled a gun out and everybody saw it, people might start to run or
Oh,
whatever.
no, it was very fast. It was not like I was like, you know, it was like quick punch.
So can you show what were you sitting down and you did it, or did you stand up, or what?
Yeah, I was sitting down the first,
Can you show me like what you did? I mean,
yeah, it was just like, you know,
did you like this, or just
yeah, you know,
and just started shooting
yeah.
at people? And we'll go back and I'll ask you some more questions.
Yeah, I had it in a bag.
It was in the bag.
The bag's there, I dropped it.
You dropped
It
the
was a
bag.
black bag. Like, it was like a thing you can buy at a sporting goods thing, you know, for military people to hook on their whatever, their vest or whatever. But I just put it in my belt. And I had all my magazines and the gun in there. When I walked in the church, this thing was right on me, in front of me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God, they're gonna see it, you know. And obviously they did, because I mean, this thing is big, it's heavy, you know, because it's got, what, 7 magazines, and I put 11 bullets in each magazine. They can hold their 2, but I didn't want to jam, like it to jam or anything like that. So, you know, but anyway, it's still really heavy. Anyway, they saw it, but I just sat down because I guess they just didn't say anything, you know. And then I was sitting there and I was like, you know, just thinking about whether I should do it or not. You know, and that's why I was sitting there for 15 minutes, just like, you know, like, because I know I could have just walked out, you know, because they didn't say anything to me about what, you know, the thing on my belt. So I could have walked out, you know, and that's what I was just thinking, you know. But then I just, you know, like, it just, like, I don't know, it's like, not like you want to say spur of the moment, but, you know, I just finally decided I had to do it. And that's pretty much it.
Well, that goes to the next question. Why did you have to do it?
Oh, I had to do it.
How come? I mean, that's what I don't know.
Oh. Well, I had to do it because somebody had to do something. Because, you know, black people are killing white people every day on the streets. And they rape white women, 100 white women a day. That's the FBI statistic from 2005. Yeah, that's 10 years ago. It might even be more now, who knows. It sounds unrealistic, but you break it down, that's 2 a day. It's really not unrealistic at all. It could probably be more. You know, the fact of the matter is, what I did is so minuscule to what they're doing to white people every day, all the time. And just because that doesn't get on the news doesn't mean it's not happening. You know? everybody knows that the news is biased for black people. We can pretend it's not, but we know it is.
Dylan, you said you had to do this so basically what you're.
I have to do it because nobody else is going to do it. Nobody else is brave enough to do anything about it. Back in the late 80s and the early 90s, we had skinheads and stuff like that. There's no skinheads left. There's no KKK. KKK never did anything anyway.
So basically, you were trying to make a statement or prove a point on behalf of the white race. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, in a way, I guess.
Did somebody help? Did you talk to people or anybody in particular about this prior to making the decision to do this?
No.
So you came about this decision solely by yourself.
Right.
And did you what's the reason why because you said you never been in that church before.
Right.
But you said as you were driving by once, and correct me if I'm wrong, you saw somebody getting into the car. So you asked,
I was walking.
you were walking, and you saw somebody getting into a car. So you asked about a Bible study. Is that correct?
No, I just asked myself, when is the church service? And then she told me the church service and the Bible study or something like that. The Times or something. I guess.
Was that an African American woman or white?
Yes. Well, this is an African Methodist Episcopal. Is that what AME stands for? I think that's what it stands for. I'm not
So
sure.
that's why you
Is
wanted
that why you
that
chose that church?
Well, yes.
Because you were looking for African Americans.
Right. I wasn't going to go to another church, because there could have been white people there.
So you didn't want to kill white people, or she didn't.
Oh no.
You just wanted to black people.
Right.
What was the reason why? Because you lived with your dad's for a while and you stayed with your mom for a while. What was the reason why you chose Charleston as your location? Why that particular area there?
Well, the reason I chose Charleston is because, I like Charleston. It's really nice down there. It's a historic city, At one time, I think it had the highest ratio of black people to white people in the whole country. When we had slavery, but and then the other reason is just because that AME Church was historic too. It was an historic AME Church. I mean, I guess that's pretty much the reason.
Well, how did you find out about that AME Church in Charleston? Did you research it?
Yeah, I just looked up black churches
on the internet.
Yeah.
Where'd you do that at?
There's a website called SCI Way, like SCIway.net. It's got a bunch of stuff outside of Carolina.
Okay. So you went on the internet to look to find black churches, and you knew South Charleston had a high black population. And it was
well, I could have done it in Columbia too. There's black churches in Columbia. It's just, I don't know. I just want to go to Charleston, I guess. I don't really know.
But that church, the fact that church was historic, it's been around a long time.
Right.
That was good. I mean, I guess what I'm asking is, were you trying to make sure you were sending a message out? You wanted to send a message.
Right.
You wanted people to know, hey,
yeah,
I got to stop this, or what? Right? That was your message.
Right. And that one's right by downtown, right by King Street. So.
When you first walked in and they were having a Bible study, did anybody even acknowledge you or say anything or say,
Yeah, they gave me a sheet.
So they welcomed you. These people did.
Right, but I didn't. Like I said, I didn't say anything to them. They just handed me the sheet, pretty much. There wasn't that many people there. There was only like 8 people there.
So when you walked in, there were 8 people. Was it in the main sanctuary? Was it what do you recall when you walked in? There were 8 people. Or were they all positioned? Was it
just around like tables?
Around tables?
Yeah, it wasn't in the sanctuary.
Okay, so it was around tables.
Yeah.
Where did you position yourself? Were you in front of them, in the midst of them? Were you in back of them, to the side of them? Do you recall?
Well, there was like a table here and a table here, and I was sitting over here. Most of the other people were over here.
Can you draw that out for me? Would you mind doing that? Just
I can if you want.
yeah, just so I have a better understanding. Just like when you walked in, just show me like where the tables were and.
Doors right here.
Okay.
There's a table here, and then like another little table here.
If you can do like little circles to indicate where the people were, to the best of your recollection.
Okay. There's, like I said, most of the people were like over here. Maybe like this. And then, but I was at this table.
So put an X where you were. Was there anybody else at that table with you?
No.
Okay.
But this is, that's pretty, I don't know, that's probably about 1, 2, 6. I don't know.
Sure.
That's probably not the right number, but I'm just trying to give you an idea.
Right.
But this is the door.
So you walked in and you
Right,
said
and I was off over here and they gave me a sheet.
little sheet, and you said you put your bag down on the ground. Is that what you said?
Oh, no.
Or you had the bag on you?
Yeah, the bag was on.
Okay,
I dropped the bag afterwards, like as I was leaving.
I got you.
So you had the bag on you. It's about when you finally thought, no, I've got to do this. I've got to, you came here to do it, and you told yourself you had a thought about leaving, right?
Yes, I did.
But then you said, no, I'm here. I got to do it.
Right.
And so you pulled your gun out of the bag. How many magazines did you have in your bag?
8.
Yeah, 8.
But when one was in the gun.
Yeah, so
7 in the bag.
7 in the bag. Okay. So how many times did you reload?
All the times.
So you went through all 8 magazines?
Yes. No. Actually, no. I went through 7 magazines and I took 1 magazine with me, which is still in the gun.
And where's the gun at now?
Well, it wasn't my car when they arrested me.
When they arrested, so the
And
gun's
I told them about
and it's got one loaded magazine. So you shot through, you had, essentially, I said you put like 10, 11 bullets in each magazine? So,
Right,
so the gun wouldn't malfunction with this speed or whatever, right?
Right.
And so you reloaded, you shot and reloaded 7 times, or am I right? One of the magazines, reloaded, yeah, because the last one you took with you. You shot.
Right.
One that was in there, shot it. Went through 6 more magazines shooting, and then reloaded. Did you? So, but by that time, I mean, people that were already down, did you walk up and shoot them that had already, went to the
Well,
fellas
see,
down?
it's sort of complicated because they were all like under the tables. You see what I'm saying? It's not like I was like, going around shooting people that were already dead or anything like that. It's just when I shot a magazine, it's like I just went, bah, 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 you see what I'm saying? Like at one person, you see what I'm saying?
So when you started shooting, I guess you say you were so quick shooting, it was like maybe they didn't even see where it was coming from.
Right, the first shots.
And they all dove into the table.
Right. Everybody knew it.
Everybody did.
Yes.
And then you went around the tables to shoot.
No, not exactly. Because there's some people that I didn't shoot. I think there's 2 people that I didn't even shoot at all. Like one woman was over here, and I didn't even shoot her at all. Because she was like looking at me and stuff.
So you didn't shoot that one woman because she was looking at you. But actually, it's hard to shoot somebody looking at you, right? I mean, it is.
It's hard to shoot somebody anyway.
Right. But the other people, so were they shooting them in the back or just wherever they were, however they were?
Right, just however they were laying, I guess.
Like multiple times. So the first magazine, if I'm right, you pull out, you just start shooting. You go through that break. Everybody dies in the table.
Right.
You then reload the magazine. Do you like just get up and start going around? There's people under the table just shooting.
Yeah, but, I was sort of pacing around, because I was like freaking out a little bit too. You know what I mean? It's not. There was pauses in between, and you were thinking about, what I should do and stuff. But I guess in a way, I guess you could say that's what I was doing.
But did anybody try and run or did
No,
another table?
see, I thought everybody was going to try to run out the door, but nobody did. They all went under the table.
And nobody charged you to try and stop you.
No.
All right, and we'll come back more. But so you go through the one woman you didn't shoot at all. She looked at you. And then there was another person you said you didn't shoot at all. Was that a woman or a man or?
Yeah, I think it was a woman.
Okay. Did she look at you too, or?
No, she wasn't.
Why did you
I
shot?
mean, she might have got shot. I'm not saying she didn't get shot, but I'm saying I didn't aim at her and shoot.
Okay. Was there a reason why you didn't aim at her and shoot?
No, I can't really say a reason.
Okay. So after you shoot, do you leave all your magazines lying on the ground?
Yes.
Except for you put a fresh one in, so your 8th magazine you load.
Right.
So you leave the bag there. You've got the gun. What do you do next?
Well, then I leave.
Right. Well, I mean, but you go out the door and.
I see where I came.
Okay. And where did you go to? I mean, where's your
I
car?
went to my car.
And where had you parked at?
Right by the door.
Just out on the street, or is there a parking lot?
Literally right by the store.
So
In a parking space.
So this is a street parking right out here.
No. They've got a gate. You see, and then they've got parking space.
So you went into the gate and parked,
Yes.
and then got out, parked by the door, walked in, walked out. Would you mind initialing this? And right the word door right there.
Initial on this?
Well, this is it. So it's yours. So later you can say, yeah, that's me. I mean, just write the word door right there.
You can write initial like right above where you were
I don't
sitting.
know if I said initial.
That's fine. That's okay. You don't have to. That's fine. But anyway, so you go and you get your car, and you get and leave. So where do you go?
Well, to be honest, I was in absolute awe that there was nobody out there after I had shot that many bullets. I was like, oh my God, what are these cops doing? They're not even really doing their job. If you hear how many shots, I don't know how many shots that was. What is it? 7 times 11. 77. And there's not even a cop outside. So obviously, when I walked out that door, I peeked out the door. Because I thought there was going to be somebody there ready to shoot me, you know what I'm saying? So, that's really why I had the last magazine. It's not to shoot cops, it's so I could shoot myself. You see what I'm saying? When I saw a cop.
So you had it. So if the law enforcement showed up, you were going to witness.
Yeah, I wasn't going to ever shoot at a cop. I was going to shoot myself. But anyway, like I said, there was no cop. So I just got in my car and then I just drove out of Charleston onto the interstate.
to 26. Like the interstate going back to Columbia?
They would think it was in that direction, but I didn't go back to Columbia.
Where'd you go to?
Charlotte.
So you drove up 26 to, did you drive up the interstate the whole way to
No,
Charlotte?
no.
Or
I
take it
was
back there?
taking all kinds of routes. I don't know.
What was the reason you chose to drive to Charlotte?
Well, I just didn't want to go back to Columbia, and I just, like I said, I was still in all that I even was driving at all. I even got away. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I just picked a place.
So you didn't expect to survive.
Oh, no.
So, okay, so we'll go back to where we were. I had some more questions getting to that point. Are these the clothes you were wearing last night? Or did you?
Yes.
So
You don't
you,
have a change.
so those were the Timberland boots and the black pants. Did you have a jacket or a hoodie on or something?
Yeah. No, I had a long sleeve shirt on.
Where's
Over this.
Where's that at now?
It's in-
It's in your car. Okay, so these are the clothes you wore. And essentially, we'll come back to it. So I'm just going to kind of recap. You picked the AME Church out, the African American Episcopal Church. It's a historic church, been around a long time. It's a black church. You knew there'd be black people there, probably not any white people there, right? Because you did not want to kill any white people. You went there with the intent to kill black people in retaliation for what other black people have been doing in the United States. That's why you went, right? And so, and to make a point, right? I don't know what we would call it. What is it to use it? Sometimes we use the word political or revolutionary or
Well, I guess it could be considered political.
political. So is it safe to say, you don't like black people?
Well, I don't like what black people do.
Okay, that's fair. What black people as a race do, right? Is that what you're saying? Or in America or the whole world or what?
In America and Europe, there's a whole bunch of black people in Europe now doing the same things.
So what you did, this shooting was all about because they were black. It wasn't, that's why, I know because, and let me make sure I'm clear on this. You've already said, if it wouldn't have been black people in that church, you would have never walked in there and shot. It was because of your belief, your understanding of what black people in America and the world are doing to society, the crimes and everything else. And you wanted to, it was a retaliation or a.
Right, well, obviously I realize that these people, they're at church, they're not criminals or anything. That's not the point. Because the criminal black people kill innocent white people every day.
So what was your point then? What point were you trying to make? You said right there, these people were in church, they were innocent.
Right.
But what was the point of targeting them?
Because I just knew that would be a place where there would be at least, a small amount of black people, in one area.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I thought about going to like a black festival or something like that. They got security and stuff, and you got to wait for the day. You can't do it whenever you're ready.
So we're understanding you correctly. You specifically did your homework, obviously, because you were quoting statistics earlier. You did research. You specifically chose an area where there would be all African Americans there. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are you in any type of earlier you mentioned like the neo-Nazis and
Yes,
KKK.
I wish they were, but they're all.
So you're not in any groups like that?
No.
Or I guess do you have other associates or friends that are? Well, let me back up. Would you consider yourself a white supremacist? I know sometimes that's hard, but the white people are superior.
A white nationalist.
A white
Maybe not
nationalist.
a white supremacist.
What's your definition of the two then? Because you're saying you're not a white supremacist, you're a white nationalist. What's in your
Well,
mind? What's
never
the
mind. How
difference?
about this? I do consider myself a white supremacist, sure.
And
White people are superior. That's what you mean.
yeah, that's what I'm asking, right? The white race is superior to all the other races. And so you're
No, I don't think there's, like, for example, you got East Asian people, they got higher IQs than white people. I don't have a problem admitting that. That's just the facts.
So as a white supremacist, it's only to certain races.
Right. Well, like, white people are superior to blacks or, Hispanics. And then you got white Hispanics,
Mhm.
So, they're Indians, Arabs, Southeast Asians, Only other races probably, about equal to white people would be like East Asians, like Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, people like that.
But as a white supremacist, you still think the white race is superior to East Asians, even though they have a higher IQ. You said the higher IQ than
I think
Caucasians.
to me in general, yes. Because we've invented a lot more stuff than them. But they're good at improving on our inventions.
Sure, but in your mind, the white race is the dominant race.
No, I don't think the white race is the dominant race. I wish it was. I think it should be. That's the problem.
Do you think like what you did last night? Do you think that helps to maybe? Are you trying to start a revolution to where other people say, "Hey, it's time to stand up"? And if everybody does this, you know what? You understand what I'm
I'm
saying?
not delusional. I don't think, if that something like what I've done could start like a race war or anything like that, But
I mean, would you like that? I mean, would that help?
well, a race war would be pretty terrible.
Yeah.
People dying all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. It would.
But I'd rather just just be able to like reinstate segregation or something like that, without there having to be a race war. But there probably will be a race war eventually.
But just segregation, right? I mean, there's all.
I mean, that would be okay with me right now, but like I said, that's sort of unrealistic. That black people are just going to let themselves, go back into segregation. Not that segregation was bad, it wasn't.
How long have you felt this way? I mean, I guess my question is, was there ever a time where you?
Right. Well, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
The first thing that, like I said, I would say woke me up, would be the Trayvon Martin case. That was a while back.
Right.
What was it, 2 years ago? And I kept hearing about this kid. And I'm like, eventually I decided to look his name up, just type him into Google. You know what I'm saying? And then I read the Wikipedia article about Trayvon Martin, and I couldn't understand what the big deal was. You see what I'm saying? And then for some reason, after I read that, I typed in, for some reason it made me type in the words black on white crime. And that was it, ever since then.
So prior to that, you really didn't think too much about black and white relations or white and black relations.
Right, well, I mean, obviously, you live in South Carolina, there's so many black people here, every white person in South Carolina probably has at least a little bit of racial awareness, naturally, because there's so many black people, but it's superficial, you see what I'm saying? It's no real understanding behind it.
Right. So basically, after the Trayvon Martin incident, you said it woke you up and you did a little bit of research.
Right.
After you researched that and you started looking at, you said black on white crime, is that correct?
Right.
So what happened after that? If you could, just carry me through you studied that. Were there other research topics that you looked into?
Well, then I found out, like I said, what's happening in Europe. In a lot of ways, it's even worse over there than it is here. London's only 60% white. You've got so many Muslims over there in Europe to be swamped. There's going to be a race war in Europe too, I bet. France, they don't even take demographics.
Well, on this incident, did you share? I mean, were any of your views shared by any of your friends or anything? I mean,
Oh, no.
did you ever talk to any of them about it?
No.
No. Well, do you have a phone, a cell phone, or anything?
Oh, no, I don't even have something.
How do you communicate?
I don't.
You don't. So like if your dad or somebody wants to.
Europe to be swamped. There's going to be a race war in Europe too, I bet. France, they don't even take demographics.
Well, on this incident, did you share? I mean, were any of your views shared by any of your friends or anything? I mean,
Oh, no.
did you ever talk to any of them about it?
No.
No. Well, do you have a phone, a cell phone, or anything?
Oh, no, I don't even have something.
How do you communicate?
I don't.
You don't. So like if your dad or somebody wants to get a hold of you, would they get a hold of you?
Oh, I just call it my house. Yes.
Okay. Now, who's your best friend?
Well, I don't have a best friend.
Or do you have a friend? Do you know a guy named Joey Meeks?
Yes.
Are y'all friends?
Yes.
Did he know anything about you wanting to do this? Did you talk to him about it? What you were going to do? Okay. Does he share some of the same views you do? I mean, usually, sometimes our friends, we hang with people that share our views. I mean, that's life, right? Like-minded people.
But I've never even, talked about race around, other people and stuff like that because they probably wouldn't agree with me. You see what I'm saying?
So, okay. Well, what about at home?
No,
You don't know what I'm
because
talking
they wouldn't like it. You see what I'm saying?
about? Yeah, like your dad didn't know.
Oh no,
He,
they wouldn't like it.
You're right. They would say, hey,
Did you ever bring that topic up to your dad or your sister or anybody, or grandparents? Did you ever just talk about it and then? No, never.
well, we're going back to the last night again at the church. Do you know about how many men or women that were there? Or
Right. 8. I'm guessing.
if I told you that someone there said when you started shooting, or right when you did it, that you said, "I have to kill black people"? Did
No, I didn't say that.
You don't remember saying that?
No, I didn't. I probably said something similar to that
What do you think?
in the middle of it.
Yeah, okay,
Not
okay,
like when I
right.
started
Right,
shooting.
because yeah, that's right. You started shooting, you just pulled out, started shooting, because you wanted to get the jump on them.
Of course.
Right, because if they saw somebody might have tackled you or whatever before you got the gun,
Right.
and you thought about that.
Right.
I mean, did you like practice somewhere
No, I
drawing?
didn't practice or anything like that.
Did you ever go to the gun range or out the country to practice shooting?
Well, I'd shot my gun before, you know. But,
Where would you go?
I just shot it at my house.
And Eastover.
Right, because that's outside.
Yeah, it's in the country. It's in the country. Where'd you get what kind of bullets did you use?
Just the 45 bullets.
I mean, did you like try and buy any special bullets, hollow
Oh,
points?
yeah,
or-
they were hollow points, but they were just cheap.
Did you get those instead of ball for any reason, or I mean, did you even think about it, or just that's what you had?
Well, no, I mean, I just saw them there and it sounded good. You know?
So you bought the bullets. So walk me through this. When did you decide? All right, I know you went to the church before and you found out that church meeting was on Wednesday. So at some point you then decided, well, you have your gun, right? You bought that just a while back. Did you go to the store and you say, all right, I'm gonna buy these. I got to get the bullets for the job.
No, I had bullets. You know, I mean, I had bought bullets weeks ago.
Okay, but did you buy that? Did you buy the bullets with the intent of going to kill the black people? You know, I mean, if you're at the gun store and you're like, yeah, these bullets right here, these are the bullets I need to get.
Well, I guess so. I mean, you know, but I mean, I could have used them just to shoot the gun too. You see what I'm saying?
Right. But you wanted,
Right. I mean, I had to have enough bullets.
Right.
You know, to fill up the magazines, sure.
and the hollow points, you know, gun bullets that are known to stop people.
Right.
I mean, just like we carry bullets that are, we want to carry good bullets. And so you thought that, I'm just saying, did you think about it? I mean,
Yeah. I thought about it.
Okay. And where did you buy the bullets at?
Walmart.
Just Walmart. Which one?
Well, actually, I bought them at different Walmarts. You know, not for any reason. It's just I didn't have the money. You know, to buy them all.
So you just got to stop. I mean, no, I say stop. You go to your Walmart.
Well, it's just two. It was only 2 boxes. You know, but 2 boxes of bullets.
So you bought one box in one Walmart and one box in another.
Yeah.
Do you remember which Walmarts they were?
No, but they're all around Columbia. I know that.
Mhm.
They're all around Columbia.
Did you use a credit card or pay cash for it? Do you remember how you paid for the bullets?
I'm going to tell you.
Couldn't tell.
So now we're kind of going back to what you mentioned before when you left. You're kind of in shock. Hey, the police didn't show up. I'm alive. I didn't have to kill myself. Because that's what you were going to do when you came out, right? And so you're like, where do I go? And you drove all over till you decided to come to Charlotte.
Right.
And why did you decide to come to Charlotte?
I don't know. You know, just the names. I just wanted to come to Charlotte. Pretty much. And it was sort of close.
Yeah.
Not too far away.
Yeah.
Because you had a lot of gas. You know.
Were you
Obviously, I didn't want to use my debit card at the gas station. Because that would be tracking.
did
But
you,
obviously, I did use my debit card eventually.
what did you use it?
I used it at ATM. Because I had to get more gas.
How much cash you get? Cash. You got cash at the ATM, right?
Yeah, I only got $20.
Okay. And then you went and got some gas.
Yeah.
Where at?
Yeah, that's in Charlotte.
Okay. Now, then you drove out this way to Shelby.
Yeah.
Were you when they stopped you? Were you driving or were you?
Yeah, I was driving.
And so they pulled you over. What did you think? What went through your head?
Oh, well, I knew they were going to get me eventually anyway.
Yeah.
I was just waiting for them.
Where was the gun? I mean, did you think,
Oh, the gun was in the back seat. Oh, no.
By that time you said, I guess I'm not gonna have to kill myself, right?
Right, I had already decided that it's just a bad idea.
Yeah. Did you when the policeman pulled you over and obviously you didn't want to do it? I mean, you had decided, all right, I'm just gonna give up. Okay. Did you say anything to the policeman after when he pulled you over and he walked up to the car?
Oh, no, I didn't say anything. Just, told me to put my hands on the wheel and that's it.
He didn't tell you why he was stopping you? I mean, you knew, right? Yeah. But did you tell him how you did, or do you remember saying anything like that?
No, I didn't say anything like that. They just said, are you connected to what happened? I think something like that. I just said yes.
Okay. And then I think you said you told him the gun's in the car.
Right. They said, is there anything in the car? And then I said, yeah, the gun's on the back seat.
Okay.
Where were you headed to when they stopped you? They turned
Well, I was gonna, this might sound sort of weird, but I was going to try to go to Nashville.
Nashville. Why?
Yeah.
Why Nashville?
Why not?
Yeah.
For no reason. I've never been to Nashville.
Yeah.
But it's so far away. I didn't know if I would be able to make it.
So you really didn't have a good escape plan because you didn't think you'd make it out.
Right. There was no escape.
Had you thought about going with, hey, I get some more bullets and go shoot some more people?
Oh,
Or
no, I was worn out. There's no way.
How did it make you feel afterwards? I mean, there's got to be a lot of adrenaline, right? Driving back.
You know, not an Indian drink.
Are you glad you did what you did? And do you think it sent the message you wanted it to send?
I really couldn't tell you. I have no clue whether to send a message or not.
But how do you feel personally about it? Are you glad you did it?
Well, I want to say I'm glad I did it. You know, I've done it. So
You said it was something you had to do.
yeah, I have to do it.
If you could back up, I mean, would you do it again? I mean, that's how strongly you felt about this issue, right?
Well, at the moment, you know, if I could back up to where I was just still sitting at the table thinking about walking out, I might walk out. I'm not gonna lie. But you know,
Yeah. Did so? What is your thought about those people, though? I mean, because I think you kind of alluded to it earlier. I mean, in your mind, they're innocent people, right? I mean, there was clearly church-going people. They're in a Bible study.
well, I'm trying not to really think about it. You know.
But I mean, I guess the question would be: is it because they were black that really kind of overrode everything else? Because you had to send that message.
Well, it's like this. You see, I'm not in the position, you know, by myself, you know, to go into like a black neighborhood, you know, or something like that, and shoot up, you know, drug dealers or something like that. You see what I'm saying? That's not going to do anything. You see what I'm saying? I had to go somewhere else. You see what I'm saying?
So what you said, you had to go somewhere where you could shoot some people without getting shot. I mean, that right?
Right. You know, even if it, you know, not necessarily that, like, say a black drug dealer would have shot me. You know, say I would have shot him. That's only one person. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, so it wasn't the fact that you could have shot him and he might have shot you.
Right.
It was the fact that you knew I could shoot more people, like you alluded to, or you said earlier. There was several people in that. Do you wish there would have been more people in there? I mean,
no, because like I said, you know, if that was the case, I would have shot everybody in there. You see what I'm saying? Afterwards, you know, it was just like, oh, you know, that's why I didn't shoot that other lady. I could have, but I didn't.
do you remember telling that lady, "I'm going to let you live so you can tell my story"?
Yeah, I don't remember saying that, but you know, there's really no story.
What did she say to you when you said that?
I don't think she said anything.
Yeah.
But I guess you said that, right? Because you thought you were going to walk out the door, and probably you didn't think he was going to leave that alive. Leave there
I
alive.
didn't really know, you know, like I didn't hear anything out there, but you know, I thought they probably had it out there or something.
The police.
Right.
And did you buy all those magazines at one time when you got the gun? Does two usually come with it, or did you buy the or did you go pick them up as you had money?
Yeah, I just picked them up as I had money.
Did you give them a shooter's choice also, or?
I think I got the most of the Jewish choice, but I might have gotten a couple somewhere else. But I think I got most of the Jewish choice.
So do you remember filling out the 4473, that form, the ATF form,
Oh,
that you
yeah.
fill out to get the gun, and you put all your information on there
Right.
and all that and everything? Okay. And so is that the only gun you have?
Yes. Yes.
The only gun you've ever owned?
Right.
And did you carried that, kept that with you, or where did you keep that gun before last night?
Oh, I had it with me in my car.
Right, but normally, did you always drive around with it, or did you like keep it at the house?
Well, for the past like week or two, I had it in my car.
Is that because you were at any time ready to go, or?
Yeah, I guess.
Did you purchase that weapon for the very purpose of doing what you did last night? Was that the reason you purchased the weapon?
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I just wanted a gun, pretty much.
Right. How long ago was it? Would you say that you actually just so I can backtrack? I don't want to keep having to go over the same stuff over and over again. I'm just trying to understand, make sure I understand correctly. You see, you really never thought about a lot of this stuff until roughly the Trayvon Martin incident, correct?
Yes.
So when you saw that, you got upset and you started doing some research on the computer, and you didn't like the statistics that you saw.
Right.
And that was roughly 2 years ago or so. You seem very well versed and very well educated on, you know, black on white crime or white on black crime, this, that, and the other. So you've done quite a bit of research. Is that safe to say?
Oh yeah, I know a lot more stuff I can talk about, but you know,
Like what kind of stuff?
I mean, just everything. I can't think of it now, but yeah, but what you're saying, yeah.
Sure. Did you read a lot? Did you read books or watch videos or watch movies or YouTube or anything like that specifically about that subject matter?
No, it's pretty much just reading articles.
Reading articles?
Yeah.
And the more you read, the
You know,
more.
obviously I've seen the videos of, you know, white people being, you know, beaten and stuff like that, but
Well, and Stan, where Craig's at, like, in clothes, did you like to wear black clothes and stuff a lot? I mean, was that kind of like?
I don't know, black's a nice color for clothes.
You don't have that picture again. Oh, yeah. That's obviously that's a picture of you, right? Where is that? Is that
This is in Charleston.
in Charleston? Who took the picture?
Me, I set it up on this post.
Well, not that one.
No,
One
but
like,
yeah,
right here, the post right here. Okay, when was this picture taken?
Maybe 2000. It could have been 2014. I'm not really sure.
So it wasn't when you went down there before and checked the church out.
Oh no, I mean I've been to Charleston a bunch of times.
Okay, so you should do like reads good. Like that jacket right there. That's not the jacket you were wearing last night, right?
Oh no, I was just wearing a long sleeve shirt.
Was it a black long sleeve shirt?
No, it was gray.
Right. Okay. What are those patches right
Oh
there?
well, that's the South. That's the old South African flag, and that's the Rhodesian flag.
Old stuff, like back when.
Yes,
Okay.
Rhodesia
Can you tell me about?
and South Africa.
So the old back when apartheid and back when it was a British colony, South
Right,
Africa.
that's the apartheid flag, and then Rhodesia, that was a country in Southern Africa, right above South Africa.
And was that their flag back when it was
Mhm.
controlled by the white?
Right now it's Zimbabwe.
Okay, but the white, that's back when the white people controlled.
Right.
And what is?
Oh, that's just, I got that jacket at Goodwill. That's just like a Richland County Academic All-Stars or something.
Oh, okay.
Did those patches come on that jacket when you got it, or did you buy them and put them on there?
I bought
So what was so what is the reason why you chose those parts? Out of all the patches you could have chose, why did you choose those two patches?
them. Well, because they represent white people ruling in the homeland of Africans and ruling as minorities.
Ruling as minorities?
Yeah, that's powerful.
Okay. Okay. How come you get that mean look on your face in those pictures?
No, I don't think it looks good.
Was that, I mean, you're not smiling, were you trying to, I mean, or is that just you don't? Well, yeah.
Oh, well, that's 1488. You guys probably know what that means.
Why don't you explain to me what that means?
14th century, we must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children. In 88th century, Heil Hitler.
So would you consider yourself a neo-Nazi then?
No, because I think to be considered a neo-Nazi, you got to be part of a revolution or something. You see.
Do you disagree with what Hitler did? Do you support Adolf Hitler? Because you're saying Hail Hitler in that statement there.
Right. No, I support Hitler.
And where was this? Is that in the South?
But that's on Sullivan's Island.
Okay, you drew that in there.
Yeah, I just drew that.
Wait, how long ago was that taken?
Yeah, that's where it was.
So all these would have been at the same time frame, you think, or?
Yes, actually, I think they were.
Can you explain it to me again what that 1488 means? Because I never heard it that
We must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children. That's the 14 words, and then 88 stands for Heil Hitler because it's an HH.
And who came up with the 1488 slogan? Do you remember the name of the person?
I know you know who it is. Is his last name Lane? No, I don't.
Well, who was he though? Do you don't know his
Oh
name?
no, I don't know anything about him. I just heard his name or saw his name.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. But he just came up with 14 words.
Right.
He didn't come up with 88.
And so you identify with and agree with what those numbers represent?
Yeah, I guess.
Do you believe that your actions last night, I mean, that'll make you a martyr amongst people of similar beliefs? I mean, was that kind of your goal, to become a martyr? I mean, if you're thinking you're going to kill yourself, that's kind of what a martyr does, right? For the cause?
That would be nice, sure, but I don't really know if that's what would happen or not. You see what I'm saying?
I mean, did you want people to know who you were and what your cause was? Or were you trying to bring this cause attention to the
Yes,
cause?
yes, I'd say so.
So, sure.
Can you tell me about this?
Oh, that's just a DVD. That's really great.
Well, I know that.
It's okay.
I read the back of that, and you obviously watched the movie. What's this movie about?
This movie is just about a British skinhead in the 80s, like 82, I think. It's not really that. It's not really like a real racist movie or anything like that. It's more just he's just a delinquent, pretty much.
Well, it talks about the skinhead who's random acts of racism, vandalism, and violence.
Right, but if you watch it, there's really nothing violent in it.
No.
No.
What about American History X? You ever seen that movie?
Yeah, I've seen it.
What are your thoughts on that movie?
That's an okay movie, but it's got an anti-white ending. You know what I'm saying? The only reason I think it's funny because that's a good movie, but at the end of the movie, the only reason they give for you not to be a skinhead is because it's bad to go around with so much hate in your heart. That's literally the reason they give, and that's the only counter reason they have. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
So in the movie, when Edward Norton's character went to prison and changed his ways and saw that people are, everybody's kind of the same on the inside, no matter what their skin is on the outside. Everybody has the same struggles that they just may not, I can't I don't know what a black man's struggle is, just like he really doesn't know what my struggle is. We all have our own things we go through in life, So in that movie, I mean, that's the whole point, right? So you're saying the way it turned out whenever Gore comes out and he now realized he was wrong, you're saying he should have come out and realized he wasn't wrong.
Of course.
Right? That he should have.
There wasn't, it's just a movie.
Yeah.
Right, but there's a lot of symbolism behind movies. Like in the beginning of the movie, it
Like in the
shows.
beginning of the movie, the first part of that movie is great. It's good.
Why is that great?
Because, it shows him being, in the beginning of the movie, I don't know. It's just, that's an okay movie. I don't really like it.
Yeah,
Sure.
Well, kind of going back, I keep saying that, kind of going back, so I'm trying to stay around my head around this whole thing. Do you have any remorse?
Oh, I think it's too soon.
What about regrets?
Yeah. I'd say so.
What do you regret?
Oh, it's, I regret doing it a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But part of you is glad you did it. Still, I kind of sense that from you, right? I mean, part of you, so you're proud. I mean, you're part of you.
No, because like I said, I don't really know exactly what I've done. I don't.
What do you mean by that?
I don't know how many people are killed or anything.
And how many do you think anybody died? I mean,
I think.
or do you
Yeah,
know?
I think somebody died.
I mean, how do you know? I mean, you
I
would know.
don't know for sure. That's the problem.
I mean, did you shoot anybody in the head?
No, I don't think I did.
Was it?
Intentionally, I didn't. I mean, I intentionally didn't shoot anybody.
Were you aiming down the sights, or were you just shooting, pointing and shooting?
Right, I was just pointing. But I didn't aim anybody's head.
And getting back to his question, if I were to tell you that yes, there are dead people, do you regret that? Or mission accomplished? You said it was something you had to do. So it's kind of one or the other,
No, it isn't one or the other. It isn't.
Well, but what he's saying is, I mean, let me go. Your mission wasn't just to go shoot people. It was to kill black people, right? I mean, 45, Glock 45. That everyone knows that's the handgun. If you want to take care of business, I mean, that does the job, right? That's why you bought that handgun.
Well, yeah. When I got a gun, I wanted to get the best, the biggest caliber.
Biggest caliber, and the Glock that holds the most bullets for 45.
Yeah.
There may be some that hold more, whatever. But and they're good guns. I mean, the police carry those guns. I mean, it's a good gun. And it's but your mission, your plan that you had established and decided you wanted to do, well, it was to kill black people.
Mm-hmm.
As many black people as you could in one location.
So, well, that was the original idea. But like I said, when I got in there, it was not really about how many I could kill anymore. You see what I'm saying?
What was it about?
I don't know. I mean, it's just like, after I'd already shot people, it's like, I didn't feel like I needed to shoot, everybody. You see what I'm saying?
Which again, it goes back to what we said while ago. Part of that, you thought you were probably going to die, and someone could tell the story. But
that's more really an excuse.
Yeah.
It's not really. It's really that I just didn't want to kill it. So, see what I'm saying?
So if I told you 9 people died last night, how would that make you feel?
And I wouldn't believe you.
It was 9.
There wasn't even 9 people there.
It was just a little bit over 9. But it's hard when you're looking at the tables to judge people.
You said when you went in there, you said it could have been 6, 8, really weren't certain.
Are you guys lying to me?
No.
8 people were dead at the scene. 2 were rushed to the hospital. So I guess it was 10 people were shot. Actually had gunshot injuries. It's my understanding. The 9th person died at the hospital, but 8 people were dead on the scene. They showed up. So how do you feel?
In all honesty.
Well, it makes me feel bad.
But also, but it's critical symbol. I mean, your mission was to kill black people. I mean, you killed 9 black people.
You said earlier that you, just to recap, after watching the Trayvon Martin, you got upset, you started doing research. You said you could have done it in Columbia, you chose not to. You picked out that particular church because of the historical meaning behind the church. You actually drove out to the church. There was a black lady, you said, getting into her car as you were walking by, and you found out that there was going to be a Bible study there. So you knew that there was going to be a large concentration of black people at the study. You said you went into the study. So you thought about this. You finally made the decision. You had your weapon. You said maybe April or so is when you got the weapon. So now you had your weapon. You said you bought 2 different boxes of ammunition, one at one, possibly one Walmart, one at the other. So you didn't buy it all one time, but you over 77 rounds over time you collected. You brought that weapon with you in a bag. You said you had X amount of, correct me if I'm wrong, was it 7 magazines? 8 magazines altogether. All right. You went into there. You went into the Bible study. You walked in through the door. You saw these 2 tables. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you drew 10 people. You sat right here at this table. You sat for about 15 minutes. Could have been 20. Could have been 10. And you said you just had to do it. You said so you stood up. You said you started shooting. You went back to the door. You told us that you fully anticipated after firing 77 rounds that law enforcement would have responded. You were fully anticipating that. And you said you kept an extra magazine, but you weren't going to use that magazine on the police. You were going to use it on yourself. When you looked outside and you saw the police weren't there, you were kind of shocked. You said, wow, geez, the police aren't doing their job. You specifically parked inside the gated area. You said you got into your vehicle. You started to drive. And you said you thought of Charlotte for some reason. So you drove to Charlotte. At some point in time, you said you used your card to get $20 out of an ATM. And you needed more gas. And then you decided at the last second that maybe going to Nashville might be a good idea because you'd never been there before. And you got stopped by the police. But the whole reason you did this, just so I understand correctly, again, and you've already told it, I just want to make sure we understand you correctly, is after you never really thought about race relations until the Trayvon Martin incident. You did research and you really started to irritate you because day after day after day after day in your mind are what you perceive from watching the news. There's black and white crime and it goes unnoticed. Nobody cares. Doesn't matter. You actually quoted an FBI statistic on rape. You broke it down to about 2 rapes per day. Is that what it is?
2 rapes per state.
2 rapes per state per day. And that upsets you. And you basically said that when you went into the church, you had made your mind up that you had to do this. You said it had to be black victim, it had to be black. You were targeting black individuals because there's no skinhead movement anymore. There's no KKK movement anymore. And your whole goal was basically to do what? You said to kill black people. But what was the reason? Though? What was the reason? What does this do? I guess my question is: there's 9 people that are dead. You said that you said the goal was to kill black people, specific, just black, because they were black, because you're sick and tired of what's black on white crime, and no one's paying attention to that. The lack of movement with the skinhead movement, the KKK. So you said you wanted to kill black people. Now that you did, what are your thoughts? What message do you want to be told to the public? What do you want people to remember Dylan Roof for?
I don't know.
It's tough, right? Thinking about that whole thing, when you go through, but knowing, and even before, I mean, you knew your actions were going to kill people. You said you believe at least probably one guy, probably. I think early on we said you shot 4 or 5. You thought maybe 4 or 5 people were dead. I may be misspeaking, but you knew when you left, when you were driving before you got stopped, before you messed, you were under the assumption you killed 4 or 5 people, right?
Yes, that's true.
But your numbers were doubled. It was 9. So, I mean, you've done it. I mean, what do you think should happen to you?
I don't know how to answer that.
Well, I mean, I guess you're guilty. You wouldn't dispute that. You're guilty of killing the 9 people. Nobody else walked in there and picked up a gun, was with you shooting those 9 people, or shooting people, right? It was just Dylan Roof, right? Right. So there's nobody helped you plot. There's no co-conspirator in this case. No one put you up to this. This was your plan. You schemed it. You did it, right?
Right.
Okay. So what as a result now of done this? Someone that's killed 9 people. What do you think? If you took black or white out of the issue, or let's say a black man walked into a church and killed 9 white people, what should happen to him?
You already know the answer. Just tell us. I mean, I can see by the look on your face you already have a thought. So what was your thought on that when he asked you?
Well, you should probably die too, I guess.
Well, and I'm not sitting there saying, oh, you think you should die, because I mean, you thought you were going to die anyway carrying out this mission. But I guess what I'm asking, you've said it. I just wonder, are you guilty of this? Would you consider this a crime?
Yes.
And you're guilty. Say it again.
I am guilty. We all know I'm guilty.
Here's the thing. The reason why he'll say that and he asks you to, we don't ever want to put words in your mouth. We're not going to.
Right,
We're
I
not
know
going to
you
make.
need me to say it. I get it.
And part of what we want to know, and part of what we're asking these questions is we want to know, is there somebody else involved? Is there somebody, that nurtures you and like led you down this path? Or was this just Dylan? Did Dylan just come up with this all on his own, as you said? Or is there somebody else there that's, recruiting, training, and being saying, hey, let's go do this?
No, I mean, it's pretty much just, it sounds lame, I don't really like to say it, but it's pretty much just the internet. All the information's there for you.
Other than the movie that you watched, that Britain movie, we talked about American History X, which you said is not a good movie. Are there specific books that you've read about this subject matter?
Books?
Articles, magazines, authors?
I've never really read any books. I haven't even read, Mein Kampf or anything like that,
Was there anything that you read, music that you listened to, videos that you watched to help you get into the mindset to carry this out? To help, for instance, I played football, back in the day. And prior to football games, I used to like listening to AC/DC because it was hard rock music to get you pumped up. We played in the locker room, we'd go on the field. So I guess what I'm trying to ask you is there anything that you did in preparation for this to get you to the point where when you were sitting there, when you said, you made that decision, I got to do this? Was there anything that you did to prepare yourself so you can say to yourself, I got to do this and I'm going to carry this out? Is there anything you did to prepare yourself? No.
But I mean, it's pretty much like I've been preparing myself mentally.
Okay, tell me about that. Tell me about that. That's what I want to know. Tell me about the mental preparation. Because what I really want to know is, like you said, you walked by the church, that lady was getting into the car, so you knew there was going to be a large concentration of African American people, black people in that church. Those were your victims. You decided you had to kill them, you had to do it, you had to send a message. You said there was some mental preparation that you did. So I want to know a little bit about the mental preparation, but I also want to know, when was it that you decided, I'm going to do this? Was it on June 16th? Was it yesterday when you woke up in the morning? Is it when you left your mom's and you said, that's it, I saw this thing on the news, I'm fed up, I'm going to send a message? When did you decide, I'm going to do this?
I can't tell you.
You can't tell me?
I mean, I've been thinking about it.
Right. How long have you been thinking about it?
I can't say.
Well, would it go back as far as the Trayvon Martin? Because you said that's.
No, it wouldn't go back.
Wouldn't go back that far. That's what got you interested in
That's just thinking
statistics.
about it, you see
Okay.
what I'm saying? I wasn't thinking about it to do anything.
When did you start actually thinking about maybe I should send a message myself? When did that start?
I don't want to answer it. But it wasn't that long ago.
Was there anything that happened that long ago? Was like
No,
a movie
no.
or something you read or that said, hey, you know what?
No, it's just an accumulation.
I mean, was anything else going on beyond the Trayvon? I mean, there's been a lot of high profile
Right.
incidents
You
across the
got
country.
other things happening too. I just said Trayvon Martin because that was just the very
That was the
first.
beginning.
Right.
And when you're talking about different incidents.
I mean, I don't care about Trayvon Martin or anything like that. That's just what made me start.
What are some of the other things that have happened since then that got your attention, I guess?
Well, like the Ferguson thing, that I really didn't pay too much attention to because by the time that happened, I'm already completely awake. You see what I'm saying? I don't even really need to pay attention to it anymore because I already understand it. You see what I'm saying?
Understand what?
Once you already understand what's going on, I don't even need to watch the news.
What
Because I already know what's happening.
That's what I want to understand. You're saying you're completely awake and you understand what's going on. What?
It's being racially aware. That's a real thing.
Racially aware
Sense it.
of what?
Racially aware in itself. That's where you view everything that happens ever through a racial lens.
And that's what you do?
Yes, you have to view everything through a racial lens. Everything that happens, because that's how black people think. Black people, from the day they're born, are racially aware, but white people aren't because we're brainwashed not to be. But I am because it sounds corny.
No, I'm listening to what you're saying.
No. That sounds corny. But I guess that's the only way to put it.
We understand, but where did you learn this? I mean, I know you say the internet, but is there sites? I mean, what inspired you to go, I got to research
Because
this?
Dylan, believe me when I tell you, Michael and I have interviewed many people and with each other, and you're an intelligent individual. And the bottom line is the fact that you maybe grades at a school or things like that don't reflect it, but you're an intelligent person. The fact that you're able to read and comprehend and maintain specific knowledge, you're highly aware. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
And I did want to, obviously, I don't think I asked that question I usually do. You said you got your GED. You can read and write.
Right.
Yeah, because you had to. I mean, that's the question. I was like, well, can you read and write? Of course, I mean, I knew, but you can. You said you could.
You said that black people are basically racially aware from the time they're born, but white people are asleep.
from the day black people are born, they're viewing everything that happens to them through a racial lens. That's why they get offended so easy. Sometimes a white person might do something to a black person, and the black person will think it's racist, even when the white person wasn't even thinking about race, because the black person's viewing this is a white person. You see what I'm saying? This is a white person talking to me. They're always thinking like that.
Sure.
You can ask a black person, look, I'll admit it to you. You know, that's how they think. But white people don't think like that. But eventually they'll have to. You see what I'm saying? Because we're going to become a minority eventually, if nothing, you know, if nobody does anything.
And that's what led up to yesterday, correct?
Yes, I guess.
Is that what you mean by does anything? Like what you did? I mean, because I guess that's.
Well, I mean, doesn't anything. You doesn't even have to be violent.
Well,
Just
like
do something.
What are you looking for? Like, what are you looking for somebody to do?
Do something. I mean, have some kind of movement, something standing up for white people. Nothing. There's nothing. You know, in Europe or America. You know what I mean? You know, Europe, that's the homeland of white people. And then, you know, God, it's I've never been to Europe, but like I said, I've read about it. You know, it's terrible what's happening over there. I could, you know, say I wanted to, you know, get away from minorities or something and move to Europe or something. You couldn't even do that because they're there too.
Well, have any black people ever done anything specifically to you, other than what you see going on around you in the world, in your perception of it, right? Have any of them ever done anything specifically to you? Have harmed you?
Oh, no. I mean, I think, you know, one time probably a black person stole something from me, but, you know, that wasn't a big deal. You see what I'm saying? The black person's never done anything to me personally that made me dislike black people.
Right.
Because of what they did.
But it's just because I mean, because even in the church, I mean, but obviously they welcomed you. Nobody, when they hand you a pamphlet and you sit down.
No, I'm not considered.
Well, I mean, they didn't tell you what do you. Did anybody say what do you want? Can we help? Did anyone say can we help you? Or did they say, come on in, have a seat? What did they say? Come on, it's important for me to know that.
Let's be honest. I think they were very surprised that a white person was coming into their African church in the first place.
But they didn't say, oh wait, they didn't jump up and say, hey, what are you doing here? They handed you a brochure and said, sit down.
Right.
Because
a black person could go to any white church and they do the same thing.
Because what is race aside? What's the church about?
Jesus?
I mean, were you raised in the church or?
Yes. Well, Lutheran.
Well, that's a church. I mean, so, you know, the church is really, I mean, although they're predominantly black churches, they're predominantly white churches, and there's people that, the churches, no, I gotta go to that both white and black people go to.
Right.
But I've been to plenty of black churches, and no one's ever told me, hey, don't come in here. And they didn't tell you they welcomed you. Right? I mean, you would say they welcomed you. I mean,
No, I wouldn't say they welcomed me. I said they let me sit down.
okay, so then when you walked in and someone looked, what did somebody say to you?
They just said, Pastor, I think somebody's here to see you, or something like that, and then he handed me a book.
And did he say, sit down, young man? I mean, I can just imagine.
I think you pulled out the chair or something like that, and then you know.
So he pulled out the chair.
What was the pamphlet that he handed you? Do you recall?
Yes, it was just like verses.
Okay.
Or, yeah, just verses.
Did you leave that there or did you take it with you?
Oh, I left it.
Do you remember what they were talking about, or were you just so focused on getting the courage up to do what you needed to do?
I think they were talking about riches or something like that. Riches or something. That's all.
And at that point in time, you said you stood up and you said for a while you were debating, should I go? And you said, no, I got to do this. So if you can think back to that, what was it that at that moment you decided I have to get up and I got to shoot these people?
It was just, you know, like I said, it was going back and forth in my mind, and
Sure.
eventually it was just like a jerk, you know, like a jerk reaction.
And it was basically a culmination of all the mental preparation you said you were doing over time.
Yeah, I guess. You know, I mean, I really wouldn't even say I was fully mentally prepared. You know, it's just, I just did it. I just did it. I just did it.
Well, speaking of mentally prepared, and there's a couple other questions on this. Are you on any medications?
No,
Did you take any medications last night before you went to the church?
no,
What about drugs?
no.
Do you use drugs?
Sometimes.
Which kinds what do you use?
No, I don't use drugs.
Well, it's okay if you do. If you remember, no, trust me. We're not worried about, you know.
No, I don't use drugs. I don't want to talk about drugs.
Okay, that's fine. But I just asked, were you under the influence of drugs last night?
No.
Is that because you want to make sure you had a clear head?
Right.
Okay, so
But I mean, I don't use drugs that often anyway.
But could I just ask you that though? Or you haven't used them often, but when you in the past, what have you done in the past? That's in the past, so it's no big deal. But you know, what have you tried? I know.
Well, I mean, obviously, I smoke weed.
Yeah.
But I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to talk about
Okay.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not to do that. Whereas, I'm just trying to go through all this on the last of steps. Who's your bank card? Who do you bank with?
First Citizens.
First Citizen. Now, and going back to work, run me through yesterday. Did you go to work yesterday? or did you work with your dad, or?
No, I didn't go to work yesterday.
What'd you do? Where'd you spend, not, obviously we know what happened last night, right? But the night before, which was
The 16th.
the 16th, where did you, no, I'm sorry, the 16th, where did you spend, was it Tuesday night? Monday or? Because you woke up Wednesday
Right.
morning.
I think I was at my dad's house.
Okay, so you spent Tuesday night and woke up Wednesday morning at your dad's house.
Yes. Yes.
And what did you do that day?
Did you go anywhere with your granddad,
I'm
your
sorry.
uncle, your sister,
To be
dad?
honest, I know it seems strange, but I really am honestly trying to think about what I did. I know I went and saw a movie, but I'm trying to think about what I did before that.
What movie did you go see?
I went and saw Jurassic World.
Is it any good?
I don't really like stuff like that. I like drama movies.
Did you go by yourself to the movies?
Mhm.
Yeah. What movie theater did you go to?
Dutch Square.
That's where. And that was that on the Tuesday or today's what? Today's Thursday? Was that on Tuesday you went to the movie or Wednesday? Was that Wednesday?
Oh God.
Wednesday was yesterday.
Yesterday was Wednesday.
Today is Thursday. Right now, today's Thursday.
Yes.
Yep.
The best I can get, because yes. it is.
Yes, I think I did go to it on Wednesday.
All right, so it was Wednesday. So it was yesterday.
Yes.
So you went to the movie. Okay. When did you? So did you spend the night at your dad's on the 16th, going into the 17th?
Just the Tuesday night.
Yeah. Did you spend the
I
night?
think so. Yes.
You did.
I
Okay.
think so.
So before you went to your dad's to spend the night, what did you do during the daytime on Tuesday? Do you remember?
Daytime on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. So you spent the night at your dad's. You woke up yesterday. Yesterday was Wednesday.
Right.
Okay. You woke up in the morning.
Yeah.
I think your dad, if I'm not mistaken, he owns a construction company. Your dad, does he do is he a carpenter or is he a
Yeah, like
construction
contract.
contractor? Did you go with him to a job?
Yes, I did. That's exactly right. Now you got me. Remember.
All right. So what did you do there?
I pretty much just stood there.
Yeah. Your dad was working. Was he estimating a job? What was he doing?
No, they were.
They were working. How long do you remember how long you were there with him?
Maybe 2 hours.
About 2 hours. So then you came home to your dad's house, correct? After work.
Yes.
And what happened? What happened then?
You know, actually, now that you got me remembering that I went to work, I don't know if I went to the movie on Wednesday. I think that might have been Tuesday.
All right. That's what I was kind of trying to make because
I'm not
you can't do it. There's almost too many. There's not enough hours in the day.
Right.
All right, so Tuesday movie, spend a night at your dad's, you wake up
Yeah.
yesterday, you go to work with your dad. What do you do at the end of the workday with your father? What did you do then?
That's right. I just stayed at his house
Okay.
until I left.
All right. Where'd you go after you left your dad's? You go with your uncles, grandmas, moms. Do you remember where you went?
Yes, I did. I went over.
What happened over there?
I just talked to her and I gave her her camera.
Camera? At that point in time, have you already made up your mind that you were going to go to Charleston?
Yes.
You already made your mind up to that?
Right. Well, that's where I was going.
Right. So you already made your mind up. So when you were at your dad's, did you already have it in your mind? When you were at your dad's, did you already make your mind up that you were going to go to Charleston? Or did you make that mind?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. So when you were at work with your dad, you already knew that later that day you were going to drive to Charleston?
Right, but you have to realize, I've thought many times that, today I'm going to go
Today's
to
it.
Charleston. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Had you ever actually driven down there and then backed out before?
Oh, no. I've driven down to Charleston to shop. and
Right,
stuff
but
like
to
that.
actually-
Never, no,
Yeah.
to never.
Did you ever drive past, other than the one time when you asked that lady about the Bible study, have you ever driven past that place to look at it, to look at the entrance? This door goes into the
No,
church?
actually, to be honest with you, I didn't even realize where the entrance was.
Okay.
I didn't even know it was on the back of the church until yesterday.
So you never went there before just to see what it looked like
No.
before?
Only that one.
The one time.
The
Which
one
was it?
time.
How many weeks ago was that?
I'm going to tell you.
You can, okay, and that's what she said about the studies on Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
The reason you did that was because that was going to be the place you were going to go. Is that correct?
Right, well, that's what I was considering.
Okay, you were considering.
Were you considering any other places?
Well, no, we're not really. It's just, that was pretty much the main place. I had looked up other churches, but I had never been anywhere else except for that.
What are those ones that you looked up?
I mean, like I said, it's just on the website. It's just got a list. I clicked on it. But I don't remember
Like,
the
were
names.
they all in Charleston or?
Yes, they were in
And,
Charleston.
and again, I know, and I apologize for not starting with much. Was there anything other than the fact that Charleston has been around and a lot of black people live in Charleston? But there's black churches in Columbia.
Right.
I mean, in your dad's neighborhood, there's black churches not that far away. And but going to, was there any other with any of the events like the Walter Scott event that happened down there?
Oh,
that,
no. That had nothing.
that had nothing whatsoever. It was strictly just because.
It's just, Walter Scott, you're talking about that black guy that got shot by the cop, right? No, that didn't have anything to do with that. It's just like Charleston. That's really it.
And so,
You said there was a lot of history with that particular
Right, yeah,
church.
you know.
What was the history? I'm not familiar.
Oh, no. I don't know any history about that church. I just know there was an historic African Methodist church.
Gotcha.
I don't know anything about it.
did you pick your gun up at your mom's house on the way to Charleston?
No, I haven't.
You had your gun. Did it usually stay at your dad's house or your mom's house?
Where's the case for the gun?
Reciprocal?
Right, where did you keep it? Like, obviously, you didn't drive around with the gun in the case. You probably had the gun, and the case was probably somewhere else. Is that right or no?
The box.
Where's the box? The box that the gun comes in.
Okay, right now, the box is in my car.
Okay. Prior to that, though, prior to putting it
I
in the
think it was
car,
at my mom's house.
is it your mom's? Did she ever look in there to make sure to see if the gun was locked up properly? Did she ever make you lock the gun up or anything like that?
I don't know why you're asking me that.
I'm just because before I got into law enforcement, I never had a gun. So when I got into law enforcement, I made sure that the box was locked up in case someone came into the house, they couldn't steal my gun. So I made sure.
Right, well, the box was closed.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
But you didn't put a lock on the box. Or anything like that.
Oh, no, I didn't have a lock on the box. Nobody else goes into my room.
Did your mom? Did she mind you having a gun in her house? Did she care, or that didn't bother her?
Well, she didn't really like it.
No. Yeah, some people like guns and some don't. So
Right.
Did your dad or anybody call you and ask you where the gun was last night? No, your mom?
No, they could have called me.
Or you didn't have to call him?
Right.
Your dad didn't call you at your mom's house when you got there and talked to you,
No.
or your mom called your dad? Do you remember talking to any of them before you? I mean, I guess you went by and saw both of them before you went to church. You left your dad's house
Right.
and you stopped at your mom's.
Right.
Did you tell them goodbye? Maybe they didn't notice anything different about you?
No, I didn't say goodbye.
did your dad ever ask it before you went to Charleston? Did you speak to him? Did he ever ask, "Hey, I want you to bring the gun back," or "I don't want you to I want the gun"? Did he ask you anything like that?
Well, yeah, I think he did.
What was the
But I think
reason?
you guys already know all this. That's why you're asking me. You know.
Not necessarily, Dylan. Why would he ask for the gun back? What would be the reason for it? Did he help you pay for it? Did he give you money towards it? Because if somebody asks for something back, then they obviously have a vested interest in that object. You know what I mean? If I gave Michael his water, I could take it back because I gave it to him. I helped him purchase it. Why would your dad ask for the gun back?
Well, see, I mean, there's what asking about your dad and the guns, because there's this note, right? Is that from your dad? I owe you good for up to $400 toward pistol and CWP permit. I love you, Dad. Based on job, I guess you done some work for him. Happy 21st birthday, that card.
No, that was based on me having a job. See, here it is.
Yeah, and he was glad you had the job.
Mhm.
So he gave you did he give you $400? I guess that's the question we wanted to know. I mean, there's nothing wrong. It's not illegal for him to give you $400 as a gift. I mean, I give my kids stuff too. I mean,
Why are you guys asking me this? You're not trying to get somebody else in trouble.
Not at
but
all.
I did.
no. Here's what you have to understand.
We're trying to understand.
We really, honestly, as you said, well, you have a story. We're trying to get the whole story because you got to understand. Everyone's going to want to know what was every piece, what does every step have. One, we need to be able to walk out here with confidence and say, no. Or I guarantee you, the very first question is there anybody else involved? That's what we're going to be asking. And we need to be able to, with confidence, say no, based on our interview and talk with Dylan. Nobody else is involved. He acted alone. Here's why he did it. Here's what he did. So they're going to ask us these questions. That's why we ask you. I could sit there. We could speculate on what we know, what we've been told, or what we don't. But until you tell us it is or it isn't, that's the only way we're going to know for sure. That's why we're asking you questions. Because you're the only person here, and the only person that knows the whole story.
The truth.
The truth, right? Is you. So that's why we're asking you, is to get the truth out, and so we can understand it. And really, honestly, I mean, you have to understand. I mean, in my life, I've never thought about going to a black church and killing black people. And so it's hard for me to wrap my head around that. And so that's why I'm asking you these questions, and we're kind of going over and over again, is to really make sure I have a good understanding. And I want to see it from your point of view.
So when you say that you mentally prepared or you read things, the reason why I ask you, well, how did you mentally prepare? What did you read? Is that very reason that Michael brought up? Because we can't understand it unless you explain it to us. It'd be like you're telling us the story as to what happened over the last 48 hours. Unless you tell us the story, all we're going to do is guess and listen to what other people may think. We're kind of want to go right to the source. You're the source. You're the truth. So we're trying to understand that. Without you telling us, we just don't know. That's why we maybe ask the same question over and over again.
Right.
And we're not trying to to get somebody else in trouble or whatever. But if there was somebody else that was involved or somebody that put you up to, yeah, that's our job, right?
But there wasn't.
I know, and I know.
No,
And you've explained it. So now we're just trying to get how we got, because yes, you're correct. We have talked to your parents. I mean, obviously. I mean,
Yeah.
not both of us personally have not talked to each one of them, but I mean, I met your dad this morning. So we know things and we've talked to him and we've gone through and stuff, but he doesn't know. I mean, he, why and everything else. So we just got the conversations they had and what he had. That's all we know about the gun, right? That you had the gun and everything and stuff. So we just want to make sure we're retracing the life of Dylan Roof in the last 24 hours. what got us all here, and we all intersected together. And that's really the basis for our questions. I'm just trying to understand that. And was it, because trust me, the community out there right now, they don't know what's going on. They don't know. I mean, if I were black and went to the church, I'm now worried, am I going to be attacked in church? You have to understand that. People are scared now. I mean, when things happen, right? Just like when 9/11 happened, the towers fell. People didn't know if the terrorists was going to fly to the plane into the building. People were scared to fly. People now don't know, hey, is this some plot? Is this some,
The big question out there, what Michael's saying is people are saying, what happens now? What happens now? I guess what would your message be to them? When they're saying, hey, what happens now? What would you want? What would you want those people to know?
What happens now?
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know what happens.
Oh, right. Specifically regarding why you did what you did. You said you went out there because someone had to do it.
Right.
You said you had to do it.
Right.
You had to kill black people because of all the crimes and atrocities being committed against black people by black people. Those were your words.
Right.
So now that that's been done,
Right.
what now? That's what people, what now? Now that you actually,
now?
yeah.
And that depends on the other people. You see what I'm saying? I already did what I did. I can't say what happens now. I don't know.
So do you hope other people emulate you and go forward? I mean, and that's
I wouldn't say that.
would you want that? Was that in your thought process? If I do this and I'm successful, then other people might get the courage to do it too.
I wouldn't know. I don't think that was in my thought process at all. I was never thinking, if I go shoot people, other people were going to go shoot people. No, not at all. I think more, if I go shoot people, then it would just cause more agitation.
That's what you thought. It would cause more agitation. So your deal, is it like if
To
we
agitate race relations.
to make it worse?
Right.
So that was ultimately your goal was to make race relations worse, right?
I mean, I guess that's one of my goals.
One
I
of
guess. I don't know.
What does that accomplish by making it worse?
It causes friction, and then, it could lead to a race war. So, like I said,
So are you hoping that basically you're hoping that white people will rise up and become aware through what you did?
yes, and that doesn't mean that I want white people to rise up and kill all.
No, but you want them to be aware.
I just want them to do something, for themselves.
But
Stop what's happening to them. They don't even know what's happening to them.
and obviously
It doesn't mean you have to kill black people. Just make things better.
But in your mind, making things better, right? As you said in the very beginning, going back to segregation, white people white people need to be running the country, right?
Yeah, sure.
Right. I mean, like no more black presidents, no more black politicians, right? I mean, that's
Yeah, no black president, sure. I don't think we need a black president.
You don't think we do?
No, I don't think we do.
Right.
But I don't really have an opinion on Obama or anything like that. I don't care about Obama.
Okay. Well, that's right, because it's not part of the deal. But I mean, and I think that if you're saying your goal is to agitate, I guess it is. But how are we going to get things? So you really don't want them to get better. You don't want people to start saying, you know what,
But
maybe
they won't get better unless it's agitated. There's no way. It's not possible. It doesn't work.
But in your view, it only gets better if black people become second-class citizens, right? I mean, really, right? I mean, come on. Because somebody has to either, in your world or your mind, either white people are going to become second-class citizens.
We are the second-class citizens. That's the problem. We already are the second-class citizens. That's the problem.
So you want us on equal level, or do you want us superior?
I'd say almost superior.
Okay.
But right now we're inferior. So that's even worse than being equal.
How do we shake off the stigma of being inferior? I mean, how do we change that?
By standing up for ourselves and not letting black people walk all over us. And that doesn't mean black on white crime. I'm just talking about just the way black people act. Just in general.
I know Michael asked you this before, and I just want to ask you this again because I'm curious. You said something was stolen from you at one point in time.
Oh, yeah, but see, that was back when I was a kid.
Right. I'm talking. Has anything specific, any violent act ever happened to you or any member of your family or a friend, a crime committed, a violent crime by a black person against anybody you personally know, whether it be family or friends? Has that ever happened? No.
Thank God.
Right.
And I'm bouncing around here again because I know we asked about drugs, which we got that now. What about alcohol? You drink alcohol?
Yeah, I drink alcohol sometimes.
But when's the last time you drank alcohol?
You know what? I did drink a little bit of alcohol before I went in there, but it was only half a Smirnoff thing or something like that.
Last night?
Yes.
Like when you say half a Smirnoff, like are we talking about a pint?
Yeah. It was a big one, but like I wasn't, even buzzed or anything like that. I just took a couple scoops of
A
it.
Smirnoff vodka?
Oh no!
Or
It
you
was
talking about
just
a wine cooler?
yeah, like a wine
Like
cooler.
one of those, whatever.
Right.
Okay.
Just like
Okay, so where did you get that?
gas station.
In Charleston or?
I don't remember.
Did you use your debit card or did you pay cash?
I really don't even remember buying it, but I know I had it.
Did you just buy one or did you buy a 6-pack?
Oh no, it was just one.
So how many swigs would you say you had? It was like a couple gulps or just sips?
Yeah, like a couple of gulps, but like I said, I wasn't even feeling it. You see what I'm saying? I just took it just because.
Was that like right before you went in or was it?
Maybe about 15 minutes before, because I was sitting in my car.
Bottle about this size?
No, it was a bigger bottle.
Yeah.
See, it was a little bit bigger anyway.
How much of it would you say, if this was filled, I mean, that's a full bottle, how much of it would you say you drank? If that was the bottle, how much would you say you drank of it?
This one.
No, yeah, it's like 1 or 2 gulps.
What happened to the bottle afterwards? Is it in your car? Or?
I think it is still in there, but I drank the rest of it afterwards.
So after?
You're right.
You were driving?
Yeah, I think so.
That was yesterday?
Well, no, last night driving after the shooting. To,
Right.
Last night.
No, but I didn't get drunk or anything like that.
Okay. Well, if you could talk to or say anything to the victims' families, what would you say to them? If they were like right across the table from you, they want answers. I mean, and you've told us your answers. I mean, I mean, the answers is a why. I mean, and you've told us that, but what would you tell them?
Would you be able to tell them that you shot their family member because of the reason you told us?
No way.
No.
I can't say that to them. I probably couldn't even look at it.
Your car. Would you sign a consent form to allow law enforcement to search your car and retrieve that gun out? What we call it consent
Is
to
that
search.
still in there?
Yeah, your car's been towed back. It's over here now. But I mean,
You want to get your permission to take the gun out of the car?
and to search your car. I mean,
It's your car.
it's your car. I mean, someone might come in here and ask you that and say, hey, would you sign this consent form? Now, we're not asking you that right now. Present the form. When that time comes, I'll give you a form. Because obviously, they want to get the gun out. And I know you look perplexed, like, why is the gun still in there? Why haven't you already done that, right? But I'm just asking you that. Is that something you do, or?
Well, am I better off if I don't?
I'm not. I'm going to give you no one way or the other on that. I'm not going to make any comment. That's something totally. And you know what? Just think about that. I'm just letting you know. Think about that, Chris. I'm not going to be the one handling that part. So just think about that. And next, I do want to take a couple of pictures of you real quick. I don't know if anybody's photographed you whatsoever. And I need to step out. Before we do that, I'm going to step out just real quick. Hang on a second. Okay.
No, can I ask you this? Do I have to let you take pictures of me? Legally?
Well, you really.
No, do I really?
Yeah, take a picture. Everybody gets some pictures taken.
But do I have to let you take pictures of me?
You can let somebody else take
Somebody else.
Somebody else. If you don't want me to take your picture, I don't.
No, you know what I mean.
That's fine.
You guys, do I have to let you guys have pictures of me? I don't look too good.
That's not the reason why.
Yeah, that's really not it. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Nobody's ever really asked me that question before. I mean, at some point, someone will take your picture. It'd just be easier, if you were up and you were smiling and stuff like that. Hang on just a second. We're not smiling, but you know what I'm saying. Hang on a second.
One of the reasons is we want to be able to take a picture that shows you don't have any injuries, you didn't hurt yourself, you know what I mean? That's just like, for me to get a better understanding, I had you draw this. For people to get a better understanding, that Dylan was okay, and he didn't when he ran out of the church, he didn't trip and hurt himself, whatever. We want to be able to show that you were fine. There was no physical injuries to you, that when we spoke to you, that I don't observe anything, but we like to take a picture to document it. That's pretty much the reason.
I sure wish I could take a shower.
Well, eventually that's going to happen. Yeah, I don't know when. I'm not assigned to this police department, so we'll talk. I'll talk with the officers and see if they can make that happen for you.
I thought I was going back to Charleston.
Don't know yet. Don't know. It's probably one of the reasons why he stepped down. But like getting back to the car, the reason he was asking someone may come in with a consent form.
Right.
You know, there's rules. You know, we have to follow rules in order for us. And that's your possession and your vehicle. I'm just asking you, same way I'm talking to you, I'm just asking for your permission to retrieve that weapon from the car. That's all he meant by that. It was still loaded. We want to make sure that it's safe. We want to
I
make
see
sure.
why you guys can't do that without my permission if I'm already guilty.
Well, look,
I'm sure you
I-
can. If I say no, eventually you're going to have
Here's
to
the
get that
here's the thing, and I don't want to get into any legal discussion about whether it's probably ultimately they'll probably go ahead and follow through with it the way they're going to do it anyway. That's fine. I was just asking you.
That'd be nice.
And, you know, but and that's okay. But sometimes the way the law is now, and someone else will review stuff, they'll say, "Well, you told him this, and then that suggested that." And that. So it's just easier for me to say, "Hey, if you can, they'll do it. If not, we'll right now just think about that. We'll do it." But I really do need to take a couple of pictures of you through this, and then but before we do, I'll do that after we're done. That's fine. I just you had a sandwich. You were eating in here when we came in here, right? So they fed you.
Was that a Big Mac you had?
No, it was a Whopper.
Whopper. Burger King.
Water. You've been allowed to go to the restroom.
Well, I haven't been yet.
Do you need to go?
Sort of.
Okay, well I do too. We'll get you over there in just a minute. All right. Do you? I mean, it looks like the Shelby PD guys have been treating you really nice. They've been really, really great. And they treated us real nice too. They actually gave me some food too. So,
We're hungry.
do you have any questions of us?
Yes. What do you think is going to happen to me now?
I'm going to revert that back. I'll answer you, but I'm going to revert that back first to the question I asked you earlier. What do you think should?
Well, really, what I meant is not really like what my sentence would be. It's more like, am I like going to like Charleston? Is there a prison in Charleston or what?
Well, all right. What'll happen? Right. So this,
What are you thinking about, Dylan?
Nothing really. Just thinking.
What's going through your mind?
Well, I'm just wondering where I'm going. That's all. I'm just thinking where I'm going to go.
Where would you like to go?
Well, I don't know. I just wondered where I'm going.
Well, if you could pick one place right now, where would you like to go?
Oh, anywhere? I know.
Where's that?
Home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mom or dad?
Probably my mom's.
Yeah. What do you think, out of curiosity, what do you think your mom and dad are going to think of this?
Oh, God, I don't want to think about it.
All right, don't think about it. Whose watch is that you're wearing? I know.
Oh, no, this is mine.
Is that yours?
Yes. I got a small wrist, so. Yeah. No, I don't want to think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, don't think,
This is bad.
yeah, don't think about that then. You still hungry? You want any more food?
Oh, God.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to get dinner later, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It was just like going back to what we said. We had you initial this and sign this because we wanted to get your permission, obviously, to speak to us, and you agreed to speak to us. It's the same thing about your car. It's the only reason you brought that form about the car. So if I got one of those forms, would you read it over and give us consent? Would you give us permission to go into your car? It's the same thing as when you sign there regarding us speaking. We have to ask for permission.
Sure.
Tell me whatever you want. I'm not going to ready. As long as it's for you. All right. Here's what's going to happen. That was the boss of the SSC, Georgia, North Carolina office out there. My boss is back in South Carolina now. All right, they've issued a warrant for you for murder in the state of South Carolina. Okay, all right. You're about to you've been detained. We won't get into the semantics of arrest versus detained, whatever. I mean, but for all intents and purposes, you're handcuffed. That's arrested, right? So that's one of them. Go there. You'll be officially arrested. You're going to be transported up to a local magistrate here in North Carolina. They're going to tell you what you've been charged with. All right. At that point in time, they're going to give you an option. Here's the choices you have, right? And say, hey, which I think, I mean, do you want to, you can waive what we call extradition. When you're in another state arrested, it goes back a long time under state charges right now. You have to be extradited to go back to another state. There's two ways that happens. The first one, you say, yeah, that's me. Here, take me back and let's get the court process going. If you don't waive extradition, then they put you in a local jail here. And then basically the governor of South Carolina, their office, they apply what's called a governor's warrant and issue it. And then it's all done. It's issued here in North Carolina, basically saying, yeah, we've determined it's you. That takes a couple of months sometimes. And then they then take you back to South Carolina then. And so your whole court process doesn't really start until you get back to South Carolina. So, but they'll give you, the judge will explain everything to you, tell you what you're charged with. They'll tell you that you can waive. If you waive it, it's my understanding that SLED, SLED that drives South Carolina, the state police that we work with, because right now everything is a state charge right now they put on you this order. How this is all going to break out in the end, I don't know, but right now it's state, right? They're going to then, they will take, if you waive, they'll take you back this afternoon. And then you end up going to a court, down there tomorrow. And then start the whole process down there, start the legal process. So you can either go back today.
Right, but what I'm trying to figure out is, you said if I didn't waive it, is that right? And I stayed in North Carolina, I go to a local jail or whatever. So where would I be in Charleston or in South Carolina?
Well,
in another local jail there?
You'll go to local jail, but I have a feeling, I can't promise you this because I'm not in charge. I have a feeling they'll probably they might put you in a separate facility for safety purposes. They may say, hey, let's go ahead and transfer to local jail. They may make the decision, we're going to take him and put him in a state prison facility and a separate facility for security purposes, as opposed to being in the Charleston County Detention Center. So, because your safety is, despite everything that's happened here, we still have a duty to protect you, right? And so, we want to we got to make sure you're safe. But those decisions will be made in South Carolina. But if you don't waive, right, you'll go here, you go to the local, I think we're in Cleveland County, we're in? Cleveland County. You'll go to the Cleveland County jail and you'll sit there until they do all the orders and come back. I can't give you any advice on that or whatever. That's something that you'll have to decide. The people there, the judge will explain it to you. A lot of times people do waive that just to get back. Essentially, if we were charging on federal charges right now, we'd scoop you up and drive you straight back because it's federal district, and it's different. We take you to a federal judge, you'd be done, or we take you to a judge in Charlotte and drive you back after the judge saw you and had what we call an identity hearing, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a similar process, but their process with the state is the same way. It's essentially just kind of goes back to the whole way things used to be. So that's a decision you'll have to make. But I do think.
Yeah, let me go over this with you the same way I went over with this. This is a consent to search vehicle. All right, so I check vehicle right there. It says, as the person in apparent control of this vehicle, the undersigned officer would like your consent to search for evidence, contraband, or instrumentalities of a crime as described to me. We already spoke about why we were here today. You are under no obligation to give this consent, and anything found may be seized and used in evidence. You have the right to consult with an attorney before deciding whether to grant or withhold consent. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney, one will be appointed to represent you before you give your consent. You have the right to withdraw your consent at any time and may give consent to a limited search of your vehicle. All right, so description of items. That's
Oh, God. If I don't sign this, then what happens? Does that slow me down too?
No, it does slow you down. But also, in addition to the car, they actually do want your clothes too. Because those are the clothes you were wearing. Understand?
Then what do I put on?
They'll give you some clothes. We'll give you some clothes. But we want your clothes because, you may not see it, but there could be blood splatter on those clothes. There could be all kinds of stuff. And understand, even though you've just come here and readily admitted it, did everything you stood up as a man and said, I did this, right? You told your story. The government or in the state still has to actually prove all aspects of the case as if you never told us anything. So they're going to go through and do all the things. Hey, he was here, and here's the blood splatter, here's this, here's that. So, we're going to consent, and whether or not we can just take them or not, those are legal issues that are, again, I don't want to get into. But the decision was made that either, to ask you for consent on the clothes, or they'll do the other. So that's your choice. I can't coerce you into saying, oh, you got to give these, either give
Right.
these or it's not going to happen. And I'm not doing it. And if you don't want to, if you say, I don't want to sign this, don't sign. That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just,
I can't tell me.
okay.
Okay.
So that's fine. I do need to take a picture of you now. Okay. This basically concludes our formal interview. Okay. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So go ahead and stand up for me. Turn to that side. Look that way. Okay, face the wall. All right, face the dry erase board. Those black dickies.
Oh, yes.
Okay. And it is 3:35 p.m. on my watch. You were scared. Do you think you feel like you can escape?
No.
You're not gonna try and escape, right?
No.
Do you have anything on you other than your watch and stuff?
Yeah, they've searched me, but I don't have anything.
You wearing sweatpants underneath your dick?
Yes, you can check those two. There's nothing.
What's in the front pocket right here?
That stuff they take put back in.
The Dutch Square movie ticket thing. You went to Dutch Square on 6/16. So that was Tuesday, right?
Tuesday.
I actually saw that movie Saturday night.
And the rest of that is really them just, searching him and making sure he doesn't have anything on him before they take him into custody. That is all that I have for you guys tonight. We will break down and summarize the interview. At the beginning, they read him his Miranda rights. He confessed very early. After routine background questions, an agent asks what happened the previous night. Ruth pauses briefly and replies, I did it. Calm demeanor throughout the interview. He speaks quietly and matter-of-factly. Agents describe him as calm, not visibly emotional, and occasionally laughs while discussing the attack. Planning. He explains he had planned the attack for months and selected Emanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church because of its historical significance as one of the oldest Black churches in the South. He acknowledges sitting through the Bible study before drawing his handgun and opening fire. He tells agents he believed he had to attack because of his racist beliefs, and he says he hoped the murders would spark a race war. He initially believes he killed fewer people. When agents tell him 9 people die, he says it makes him feel bad, but the interview overall contains little indication of remorse. He says he expected police to kill him after the shooting and he had intended to die, but when officers did not arrive immediately, he left the church and drove away. After leaving Charleston, he drove toward North Carolina before being stopped and arrested in Shelby the following morning. During questioning, he discusses white supremacy's beliefs and references support for Adolf Hitler. Investigators later connected these views to his online manifesto and writing. This has been one crazy case, and I appreciate all of you who have sat through it with me and hung out with us. This has kind of been the first case that we've covered since Aurora and all those interviews. But please make sure you like and subscribe and turn on notifications. If you guys have any recommendations or suggestions or preferences on what cases we should cover next, please let me know in the comments. And I hope you all have a great night. Thank you for hanging out with me and supporting the channel and sitting through some lengthy documents. I think that the stuff that we're covering is important, and it all kind of, you know, it's very interesting. It's very interesting stuff here, man. But be safe. Make sure you drink water, eat your food, stay well taken care of, and I will see all of you guys next time. Bye.